Nasty. It's time to wake up.
It says possession, but I was young. I was young.
There's a little box under your desk. If you take the item out of the box and put it on the desk, OK? Pop it on the desk first, and then read out the card.
This is an ukabong. Me and my cousins would each make an ukabong to play the nasty family game, ukabong.
There we are. Lee's team.
So you're saying it's called an ukabong?
Ukabong. Ukabong.
How do you spell it, Nasty? Just spell it for Lee, because he's a bit slow.
U-K...
Yeah.
A...
Yeah.
And then bong.
Bong.
U-K-A...
And then bong. Bong.
How do you make it? What's it made of?
It's a sock.
It's made out of socks.
Yeah. What's inside the sock?
More socks.
More socks.
Is it just lots of socks?
So, boom, basically, it's a family game, and everyone has their own ukabong.
Do you hit each other?
Yeah. It's your own tool.
So you whack people with that? With the ukabong?
Yeah, with your own ukabong, but there's stipulations to it. You got to all be in a room, and you got to turn off the lights, yeah? And the hit only counts, yeah, is if you hit someone and you say ukabong. If you hit someone, yeah, and you don't say ukabong, the whole room rushes you. And then my grandma says the first one who cries gets beaten. We be in my grandma's, yeah, up top room. Boom, there's like 15 cousins and my Uncle Simon, yeah? Boom. My Uncle Simon's a cool cat. He was a cool cat.
Yeah.
Yeah? So, boom now. Everyone's got their ukabong.
David is very nervous.
Yeah. I haven't even got my own ukabong. I'm defenceless.
Hang on a minute. No, I've got one here. There you go.
Thank you very much.
So, boom now, yeah? We're in the room now. It's where it's all dark and that, swinging at everyone. Ukabong, ukabong. So then, boom, if I hit you, ukabong.
Yeah.
Obviously, it probably hurts you go, oh. But then now, my Uncle Simon, yeah? We thought he had the special ukabong.
Oh, this is taking a sinister turn.
Man thought his ukabong was sent from God. Do you know what Uncle used to do? He used to put a tennis ball in his ukabong.
Do you know what? I thought it was going to be worse than that.
He would come with, like, Zeus's ukabong. One shot, KO! Everyone's out, starts crying. Grandma comes in. Everyone gets the bus. We have to read Bible.
If it's dark, how does everyone know that you've successfully ukabonged somebody? You could be lying.
I hear someone say ow, won't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, the owl. No,
So
you're
you
definitely
need
going to
an
hear an
owl.
owl. And when Uncle Simon ones goes off, it's more of a...
What do you think, Scarlett?
I want to do it. Yeah. I really want to do it now. I think it's true.
Scarlett.
Yay, Hannah! Yes!
Hang on.
Yes! Ukabong!
This is fun.
Hey, guys, I've got a great idea. Let's all ukabong rub.
There we are. That's what we pay our licence fee for. What are you thinking then, Lee? Why don't you go for a guess here?
What do you think?
I think it's 100% true.
You do? Why?
Yeah. Because it's just fun, isn't it? I can imagine you doing that. We did
Is that fun?
Ah!
Sorry, ukabong.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, we all have to attack him.
That's just domestic violence without ukabong, bro.
Thomas.
I'm with the other two. I think it's absolutely
All
true.
think it's true. OK. Nasty. Truth or lie?
Truth!
I once had a holiday in a Frenchman's garage.
Can I check if this is a euphemism? Seriously, how old were you, roughly? I don't mean go, oh, 17.
38.
30... Oh, this is quite recently.
when it happened?
Yeah. So you're 38, right?
Yeah.
You're in France. Where was the garage?
France.
Whereabouts in France?
Northern France.
Whereabouts in northern France?
Brittany.
In Britain. So you ended up in Brittany.
Southern Brittany.
Southern Brittany. And
The
you
northern end of southern Britain.
Oh, that's just south of mid-Brittany, isn't it?
Mid-Brittany.
Yeah.
What's the name of the town that you were in? Were you in
The
a town?
town where I stayed in the Frenchman's garage.
was...
Van.
You're in the van in the garage?
The town...
Is this how this mix-up happened? I want a holiday in a van.
Rod, let me speak to you as another Welshman. Maybe he'll understand me.
Ask me a nice specific question.
Did you book a holiday in a Frenchman's garage?
No, I once had a holiday.
When you arrived in the village or town called Van...
Yeah, Van, yeah.
Did you already know you will be staying in a garage?
No.
Were all the hotels booked?
No. We thought it looked nice in the brochure.
Who did?
Me and my partner.
Partner?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
Now wife.
Blimey, that was a quick 10 seconds. How about
OK. So you were going to Van...
We went to Van.
Right.
Went to a tourist information place to...
Because you hadn't booked anywhere?
We hadn't booked anywhere.
I'm with you.
Right. What happens at the tourist information place?
They said, what about this place? And we said, that looks nice.
Lovely.
There's a house with a nice
Good.
pool.
Lovely.
Looked nice in the picture,
Yeah.
so we went there.
So you got there.
Booked it.
And when you got there...
It was a garage. The house was nice, but we were in the garage.
Was the garage decked out to look like a room, or was it just spanners and...
It looked like a room with a canoe on the side and a fuse box.
Am I old before my time? But
Yes.
At 38, you don't go on a crazy, we're not going to book where we're going. At 38, you want to know where you're going. We've
Yeah,
got a nice,
I'm with you,
comfy
Hal.
room. You know, if it is true, you totally deserve what happened to you.
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it.
So you like the sort of... It was a deliberate rough
No, it was a
and tumble.
disaster.
How long did you stay for in the garage?
2 weeks.
You stayed for 2 weeks? How much did you pay?
It was very reasonable.
I'm surprised! Did it have any windows in the garage?
No.
And you said there was a swimming pool?
Yeah, they had a swimming pool.
You were allowed to use it?
No.
I can't help thinking that what you're describing is more of a hostage scenario. And what about Mrs. Gilbert? She wasn't Mrs. Gilbert then, but how did she react? Because she's looking at you, Rod, the tall, strapping, handsome Welshman, what everyone dreams of. And you whisked her there. Was there not a little part of her that died that day when she saw what you expected her to
She
put up
wasn't
with?
very well, if I remember rightly.
Was it carbon monoxide or exhaust fumes? All right, Lee. It's a complex tale. What do your team think?
Absolute lie.
Use a lie?
Absolutely.
Really? Mm-hmm. Based on just the floundering?
Absolutely everything.
Like what? All right, it did have windows.
What are you thinking, Hal?
It's like he's throwing in things that seem so ridiculous. And
No, but nobody would go and stay in a garage without windows.
But I think
They
he's going to
wouldn't.
throw
You're
things on
Kelly
the-
Hoppen, though, Kelly. He's Rod Gilbert. OK, what's it going to be, Lee? Truth or lie?
Lie.
Lie?
Lie.
Lie. I think it's true, but I'll go with my team and say it's a lie.
You're going to say
Where
lie.
the guess?
OK, Rod. Garage holiday in France. Truth or
Garage
lie?
holiday in the Frenchman's garage in Van. True.
Yes, it was all true. Rod did once have a holiday in a Frenchman's garage.
For 3 weeks, I was listed as a missing person by Interpol.
Wow.
When did this happen?
In the mid-90s,
Where were you? Had you actually disappeared?
I was in Morocco.
What were you doing there?
I was on a bike ride in Spain.
You were on a bike ride in Spain in Morocco.
Can I have a moment to chat with my client?
What happened was, I met someone in Spain on a train. A Moroccan man.
Was this bike ride in Spain happening on the train?
Was it? It was like, because I know that you get those Spanish bike rides on trains in Morocco. It's probably one of those.
No, there was bad weather, and that's why I took the train from the north of Spain to the south of Spain, because apparently, according to the local newspaper, there was better, more agreeable bicycling weather.
How did you then get into Morocco, though?
That is because I met that Moroccan bloke on the train. and
Which Moroccan bloke?
Yeah, does he have a name?
I can't quite remember, but it was Mohammed or something.
But Mohammed the Moroccan, you met on the train in Spain.
He asked me if I wanted to join him to go to Morocco. And then I thought, well, I've never been outside Europe. In for a penny, in for a pound.
So you were picked up by a strange Moroccan on a train and agreed to go back to Morocco with him.
What's the worst that can happen?
How did you find out that you were on the Interpol list?
I realised only once I rang my parents, once I was back in Spain. And I rang my parents, and for them it was like someone found them from beyond the grave.
So why didn't you ring your parents from Morocco?
Because that man, that Mohammed,
You remember Mohammed, don't you?
Yeah.
He was the man on the train.
The Moroccan on the train.
The Moroccan on the train who invited him back to his house.
So and then when I was staying with Mustafa and his family...
From what port did you leave Spain, and into which port did you enter Morocco?
Good question.
Well, we left Spain, if I remember correctly, from Algeciras and went over to Ceuta, which is one of the 2 Spanish enclaves in the north of Morocco.
Good answer.
I think you've just clutched victory from the jaws of defeat.
How was it then resolved? How did you end up getting off of the list?
Well, hang on a minute, we're jumping ahead here.
Yeah.
What the hell
He's
did
allowed
you
to
in
do that,
Morocco?
isn't he?
What were you doing?
I was travelling with Mohammed.
My client is getting mixed up because at passport control they said you must have a passport. And he's getting a bit mixed up with the names.
I'm curious as to the fact that Interpol has a missing persons list.
Yeah, no, what happened is my parents got involved and they got Interpol involved.
Right.
And I sent a few postcards, one of them, to my friend Mark. And on that postcard I wrote, I've joined the Foreign Legion. Probably see you never again, have a good life or something. And then, Mark, being a quite clever boy, thought, OK, with this postcard I can have a lot of fun. I go round Henning's parents and say them something along the lines of, Herr Wehn, Frau Wehn, you might be interested in this.
Sorry, so your friend Mark...
Yes.
...used this postcard to mentally torture your parents. I'll make his parents think he's disappeared forever for a laugh.
Where's German sense of humour?
What do we know about this Moroccan chap who we're calling Mohammed?
He hadn't been home for many, many years, and so we couldn't take the boat straight to Morocco. We had to go to one of the Spanish enclaves because he had to collect a suitcase full of books from a cafe in Ceuta.
Why did he have a suitcase full of books?
Because someone left them there for him.
But why books in a suitcase?
Well, it was back in the mid-90s, people were still reading.
So he went to a cafe in the Spanish enclave of Morocco to collect a suitcase which he told you was full of books.
Well, I suppose a friend of his left them there.
Yes, but
I mean, you know what it sometimes is like, isn't it? Like, well, I can't quite think of an example.
But if he could, it would be like that.
Yeah.
This Interpol list that you were on, can you just elaborate on how your parents got you onto it?
Well, they rang the consulate And they rang all
Which
sorts
consulate?
of... The German one.
Which German consulate?
Well, the one in Morocco.
They didn't ring the police, they rang the German consulate in Morocco.
Well, that's how you would go about it, wouldn't you? It's no good ringing your local bobby.
And what happens then with the list? Do you just... They have to tell Interpol, stop looking for Henning. We found
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, did they? For all we know, they're still looking for you now.
I'm safe!
So what do you think, David? Does any of that have the ring of truth, or has he made all that up?
What do you think, Kirsty?
I think it's so odd and inconsistent and unlikely that it must be true.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
I think that as well. I think it's true.
Yeah. Henning, was that the truth, or were you telling a lie?
Well, this story is true.
Yes, it's true. Henning was listed as a missing person by Interpol.
OK. At school, I used to regularly pay my friend to clean my rubbers.
You used to pay your friends to clean your rubbers?
It was just one friend.
How dirty can a rubber get?
Nobody cleans a rubber.
Oh, they get dirty, my friend.
Do they?
Oh, yes.
What, full of what? Just lead, mainly?
Full of, yeah, lead.
Don't you rub a dirty rubber against a clean piece of paper and it sort of cleans itself?
No, what you're describing is the action of cleaning a rubber. Yeah. That is how you clean a rubber.
See, but you weren't
That's
even
not the
willing to do
same as
that.
it cleans itself. That's like saying, why do you need to clean a car? You just wipe it all over and it cleans itself.
10 years.
What is your...
10 years of this kind of bullying.
What was your friend's name?
Ediz.
What?
Ediz?
What?
Ediz, it's a Turkish name.
How old were you?
Like, it was primary school, so probably like 10.
So 10 years old. And why couldn't you have just done that action of just rubbing it against a blank piece of paper to just...
Well, he did it as, like, a service to everyone.
How much did you pay him?
Like £1 a rubber.
A pound of rubber?
Pound? Yeah.
Why couldn't you have done it yourself? I'm confused.
Because it used to have, like, a nice smell when you had it back.
Whoa, where was this magical smell coming from?
Well, that's the thing. We didn't know until we got older.
Did you never... See, if I was giving a man a rubber and he went away and he came back and went, that smells differently, I would say, why does it smell differently? I would just leave it at that and go, that's different. Yeah, here's a pound.
He just said he found out years later.
He was using, like, car air freshener to spray it.
Oh,
it was a great service, so you were cool if you had a fresh rubber.
But how much would a new rubber have cost?
Probably about 10p.
How many times did you pay him £1 to clean your rubber?
Like, probably happened, like, once every 2 months or something like that.
What? So, and this went on for how long?
For ages, like, for
I'll
years.
treat myself.
And he was doing it... He was making
I'm get it nice. I'm going to get the rubber nicely cleaned and scented for the weekend.
Did Ediz clean any other stationary items?
Not that I can remember, but he used to do something else with stationery, but I can't remember what that was.
He didn't sharpen your pencils in a very interesting way, did he?
It was something like he would organise your pencil case, but I can't remember.
Organise your... I'm picturing Ediz with a little suit and a briefcase. Hello, guys. How you doing? It's me again, it's Ediz. I'm here to clean your rubbers or organise your... And you're going like during the corner going, oh, hang on, girls, I was chatting you up, but I want to sort out my pencil case. Just wait.
But
Tell me some more, Ediz.
That's exactly where the economy's going, isn't it? Nobody makes things anymore. We just provide pointless services. I'm a party planner. I'm a pencil case organiser. I shout on panel shows. We used to make steel.
What's it going to be?
Look, the thing is, during my one, which was true, I started thinking it was a lie. So I haven't got a clue anymore. I actually kind of think it sounds true, but then for that reason, I want to say it's a lie.
You've been a big help, thank you. Gabby?
My gut's saying true. What's your gut saying?
Go on, let's go true.
You're going to say true? Melvin?
It is.
Was it true or was it a lie?
It is true.
Brian, it's your turn.
While searching for a mythical beast in the jungle, my boat was skippered by an orangutan.
Well, we've had this one before.
Yes. I'll make it easier. It was a canoe.
Right.
He was paddling a canoe.
I wasn't imagining one of those big cruise ships.
Not a big ship. Oh, I went as the guest of the Viceroy of Malaysia, and we were there specifically to hunt for the orang pendek, upright
Sorry, Brian,
man,
can I just stop
which is a kind of yeti. We got into the canoe, and there's a canoe there, and this orangutan, they always love me because I look like a gorilla. I got in it, and it rode, and I made noises at it. I actually developed the noise for the King of the Gungans in Star Wars. I played Boss Nass, and when the Jedi wanted me to help them, they all kneeled in front of me. I stepped in front of it. And this, when I did that to the orangutan, you went...
So let me clarify. You're in search of a mythical beast, and you arrive in Malaysia, and you come across a river, you get into a canoe, the canoe, at the oars of the canoe, is already an orangutan.
That's right.
He starts rowing. You give directions to the orangutan using noises later to be employed in a major sci-fi franchise. Yeah.
How far did the orangutan take you?
Oh, about 10, 15, 20 miles.
Oh.
Very powerful. Very
Did you
upright
feed
body.
him?
And at the end of the journey, when we got off the bank, he gave me a wonderful, big, deep-throated kiss.
I would like to pause the proceedings and have a word with my client. We'd like to change your plea.
And he liked...
Insanity.
He loved it when I belched.
Let me ask this. The orangutan, was he paddling with an oar?
Oh, yes, he's right.
Or was he paddling with his large hands?
No, he was paddling like an Olympic rower.
Oh, no, come on!
So, David, what is your team thinking about Brian's story?
Kate, do you think it's
Well,
true?
I like the detail, but I'm concerned about the distance the orangutan succeeded in. Had it been just 5 metres, I could have believed it, but all that way...
I think it would have the upper body strength,
Yes.
but would an orangutan see the point
Yes.
of rowing strangers 20 miles?
Do you know the only thing I don't buy is that?
Well, I once heard a podcast in which someone described a chimpanzee making a gin and tonic.
Well, sorry, David, you have won me round.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's true?
Yeah, it's true.
You're saying it's true. Brian Blessed, was that the truth or was it a lie?
True.
It's Lee.
When I was 7, I had to be a bridesmaid at my auntie's wedding. When I was 7, I had to be a bridesmaid at my auntie's wedding, as one of the girls who was supposed to do it was ill, and the dress was a perfect fit.
What did the dress look like?
I describe the colour as traumatic.
Why do they have to have a bridesmaid? Why couldn't they just say, if she's not well, let's move on?
I think you're mixing it with admin. If someone says to me, put the dress on, I'd put it on. You know that, don't you? Do as I'm told.
So you didn't display any reluctance to put the dress on?
I may have said, you know, mother, father, I am a 7-year-old boy, despite the fact that I am 2 years younger looking and slightly androgynous. But please, give me some dignity. And my father turned around to me, he said, son, when I was your age, he had a pipe, when I was your age, my father asked me to put a dress on, and I put it on, and his father before him, and his father before him. You'll put me dress on, and you'll smile.
Was there a page boy as well as bridesmaids at this wedding? I was a page boy once, and if another boy had dressed up as a girl, I would have felt it was fair game to persecute him.
Well, true, but luckily the page boy came up to me, little Sharon, and he said, he said, tell me about it. You know, you think you've had a rough day. You know what I mean? I'm a 24-year-old.
How much notice did you get?
Pardon?
How much notice did you get?
Quite a few people. I think, you know, from memory, quite a few people were,
No,
you idiot.
How much warning? How far in advance?
I genuinely thought you meant notice. How much notice did you get? That was a genuine one. Yeah. Oh, how much notice did I get?
Oh, everyone thought I was adorable.
I've got to admit...
everyone was looking. I was nervous at first, but then I felt like a princess.
Oh, I see. How much in advance did they tell me?
Yeah, how much notice?
How much notice did I get? You know what? That would be embarrassing if this was on television, wouldn't it? I think I got, like, I don't know, 5 hours or something. She was ill at the last minute and...
I just think you would have absolutely refused at that age.
Listen, I said, Dad, I don't want to do it. And he went, listen, I'm not your dad, I'm your mother. and I'm sick of you constantly calling me Dad. The other one, that's your dad.
How long did you have to keep the dress on? At what point in the proceedings? I mean, did you have to wear it right through to the disco and, you know...
My dad said you'll keep it on till the music starts. Da 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 da. Because unfortunately the cabaret act had cancelled because of illness.
So what are you thinking, David? Does that sound at all plausible to you?
What do you think, Izzy?
I really want it to be true.
Well, then say true.
I actually think it could genuinely be the biggest load of drivel I've ever heard. It can't be true.
I don't think it's true.
Lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lie.
Conclusively, it's a lie. Lee, truth or lie?
It's a lie.
They wanted it to be true, didn't they?
Yes, it's a lie. Lee wasn't a bridesmaid at his auntie's wedding.
I once negotiated the Home Office budget whilst crawling through a children's ball pit.
Right. David.
What was your job at that point?
I was the economic advisor to the Chancellor to the Treasury, and so my job to sort out public spending.
When you say negotiated it, who else was in the ball pit?
I was the only person employed by the government in the ball pit, but I was on the phone to number 10 Downing Street to arguing about money.
Do you have children?
Yeah.
Why had you gone into the ball pit? Was it for a private sort of ball area to discuss the Home Office budget, or were the children you were responsible for getting in trouble with the ball?
There was a younger one which was in quite a lot of trouble.
So you'd gone into the ball pit to extricate some ball-based crisis?
On the phone.
So the call started before you went into the
I'm just sitting there having a coffee.
Yep.
So what was the crisis?
Phone rings. David Blunkett wanted more police officers.
No. What was the crisis in the ball? What was the political crisis? What was the problem in the ball pit that made you go in?
Yeah. There was screaming and cries for help. It was a blockage.
And there are tunnels and things, are there?
Tunnels and slides, and
right.
the way it works is you have ball pit, tunnels, kind of ladders.
This
all
is
sorts
Tommy
of stuff.
Cooper impression.
Ball pit, ball pit, ball pit. Tunnels, tunnels, tunnels. Tunnels, ball pit, tunnels.
Can I just ask, was the blockage balls or was it a child?
I think
If you
was,
went in there, wouldn't you have caused a bigger blockage?
It was... But sometimes you just got to go in.
Who has rung you up?
Jeremy Hayward. He was the principal private secretary to the Prime Minister, and he's now the Cabinet Secretary. The problem was David Blunkett wanted the police officers. We didn't have enough money. and Jeremy was ringing me to try and sort out the problem.
There's a lot of people
And I'm
watching,
on the phone, and suddenly the cry comes. And do I admit to Downing Street that I'm in a children's ball player, or do I try and bluff it out? I didn't want to admit that I was more focused on children's ball areas than sorting out.
You're right about that, Ed. That wouldn't have helped.
So let's go through the phone call. I will be the person. Who was the person that called you?
Jeremy Hayward.
Jeremy
He's the
Hayward.
Cabinet Secretary of the country.
OK, so and what sort of person is he? Give me something to work with.
Nice guy. So he rings up and says, we've got a problem.
No, Ed, you don't understand. I want the voice. Is he northern, southern, old, young?
Sounds exactly like Tom Jones.
Excellent. So listen. Where is he? Old, young, north, south?
My age.
Your age, quite old. He's north, south.
At the time we were young.
You were young.
He's sort of southern, I would say.
OK, Ed, we've got a real problem. Oh, look, he's working up there.
So I'm like this.
OK.
And I'm talking to you, I'm saying, you know...
I'll play a ball blockage.
And then I'm saying...
I'll be a child,
I'm
then.
saying...
Help!
It's not clear, it's not clear its value... It's not clear... It's not clear its value for money.
I'll tell you what, there's your publicity shot.
So, Ed, how did this all resolve itself? Did
we got the police officers in the end, but not the...
Ed, we're not so concerned about we're worried about the children. The children. I mean, I'm wondering, do you still have access to them?
Basically, I grabbed the legs and I pulled.
Yeah?
Pulled him out.
Out he came.
And was it your child?
What do you think?
This is entirely possible.
It is?
Yeah.
I think it's true.
The only thing that makes me doubt it, really, is the coincidence of the balls at the location and the balls in Ed's surname.
That's why you doubt it?
That's why I doubt
Really?
it. Yes, because that's what makes it something that someone would have invented and written on a card to be read out for a television programme.
What do you think, Kimberly? Does it sound truthful to you?
There's a big part of me that does think it's true. Yes. Because I think that Ed Balls, every time he talks about things, the job comes first.
Oh, always.
So I could see him kind of going through the ball pit, making sure that this sort of came first, but still making sure, because he's a lovely guy, making sure the kids are okay.
He's a great guy.
You're the captain, but if your only quibble is the pun of balls and balls, then I think we should ignore that and move forward.
I think it may be too late to ignore it. You both think it's true. We'll say true.
You're going to say it's true. OK. Ed, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, true.
Yes, it's true. Ed did negotiate a Home Office budget whilst crawling through a ball pit.
I once set a sauna on fire.
What? How?
I was in Brazil.
Of course.
And I was in the sauna and I decided to pour vodka
Oh, my God.
on the rocks of the sauna.
Because you thought that's what vodka on the rocks was?
Yeah. No, I tell you how it started was my friend told me I was in Cornwall, of all places, and my friend said...
Can I jump in here and say, did your parents know you were drinking?
I wasn't a minor. I was 18 and a half.
Isn't 18 and a half 18 once you get to be an adult?
Well, no.
That's so true. Who says 18 and a half?
You're in Cornwall. I was in Cornwall, and my friend said to me, if you go and lie in the bath and pour vodka in it, like a shot of vodka...
In the bath?
In the bath, it gets you drunk. I didn't go and do it, but then...
A shot of vodka in a bath?
Because of the fumes, it gets you drunk. So I was in Brazil travelling, and my friend had a sauna in their apartment. So I was left alone, and so
I've heard about these Brazilian slums.
So you're left alone in this flat.
I was left
with
alone
a bottle of vodka, and you thought if only there was some way I could use this bottle of vodka to make me become drunk.
Where were you in Brazil?
I was in Rio.
Ah, that is in Brazil. Yep, tick.
Solid answer.
Continue.
In Rio. I was in a foreign country. I was young. I was experimenting, so I thought, why not experiment with...
Why did you look at me when you said you were experimenting?
I decided to take the bottle of vodka into my sauna and pour it onto the rocks. As I poured it onto the rocks, it went into flames and it burnt the sauna.
So you poured it onto the rocks, and immediately what happened?
So I poured it onto the rocks and started to flame. So
Just one shot of it, or the whole bottle?
The half a bottle. So
Half a bottle of vodka?
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's...
At 18 and a half, you change the rules. So, and so the fire engines turned up and we
No, hang on. We've missed a beat here. You're in the sauna. You've poured half a bottle of vodka onto the rock things. Flames are appearing.
Yes.
You're sitting there. What are you wearing?
Well, I was going to go...
They've told me to make the show sexier.
I was going to go in naked because I thought that's what you do, but I actually put on my swimming trunks. So I wore swimming trunks in there. But
How low down your leg did they go?
Mine are slight. They're
Give me
not
some
too
inches
long.
above the knee.
I would say about 7 inches.
Above the knee?
Above the knee.
If you go 7 inches above my knee, you get to my waist.
Nice. So you're sitting in there, in your trunks on the slats, and the flames have started. What do you do?
I thought the best option was to pick them up and throw them...
The rocks?
Yeah, because I thought that,
They must be boiling
well,
up.
that's what I found out, obviously.
You mean you found out? You must have suspected they were hot, because you knew they were producing the heat, surely.
But you were in that panic.
No, not even in the panic do I go,
bear in mind, he was 18 and a half.
So I try and pick up the rocks to throw them out the door and realise they were...
Out of the door?
Yeah, well, because there's a... What else is there?
Because you really wanted at this point to spread the fire through the rest of the apartment.
What's on the other side of the door? The hall, the living room? What?
A lovely balcony.
I know you can...
So you want to throw on the passers-by outside?
Nothing says Rio like a falling, flaming vodka rock.
My thought process was to pick up the rocks, throw them out the door, and it would have been fine. However, they picked up the rocks, they were too hot, so they fell on the ground, and the fire went. And I
How
thought...
can you not know that the rocks are... Are you so posh?
Lee, I told
Are you so posh you don't understand the concept of coal?
Have you ever cooked something and you've gone, oh, this one, you open up the oven and gone to take it out with your hands?
No.
OK.
So, David, what is your team thinking about this?
Claudia?
I think it's true. Apartment, balcony, he's waiting for everyone to go, trunks on, vodka there. Finally, everything comes into place.
There we go.
Yeah. Finally, a chance to put my trunks on. Everyone's out.
What do you think?
I'm on your side. Doesn't matter.
It's interesting to know.
So what are you going to say, then?
I think we'll say true.
OK. Jamie, were you telling the truth, or was it a lie?
It was true.
On a wall in my flat, there is a mysterious red switch. I have no idea what it does because I have never pressed it and refuse to do so.
Right, mysterious red switches. Lee.
Where's the switch?
It's on the wall. Sort of, not directly, but slightly behind the television.
Haven't you just had to be tempted to touch it? See what it does?
It's not that distracting. It's, it's bright red. I'd say it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch wide.
It's like one of those cooker switches, doesn't it?
It's a bit like that sort of switch. It's sort of cocked up in a sort of inviting way that you might want to give a tweak
so it's in an upward position. You'd have to flick it down.
Exactly.
Oh, that's always more scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is your house...
If it were down, I'd assume that whatever it does was happening.
Right, and
I'd be afraid to turn it off.
That would be awful.
I might need it. It might turn the oxygen off.
You've never gone near it? You've never touched it?
Gone near it?
But you've never
I've gone very near it. I don't live in a very large flat. I can't cordon off a whole area of the living room just because of the proximity of a mysterious switch. I need that space.
How long have you been in your flat and ignored this switch?
Well, I've moved into the flat about 11 years ago.
That's a long time to ignore a switch.
But sometimes I do other things. It's not just been solidly ignoring the switch 24 hours a day.
How is your granddad's dialysis machine going at the moment?
So, Lee, what are you going to say, this mysterious switch? Is it true?
I started believing it because I thought, yeah, you do have those switches in your house and you don't know what they're for. I've got them.
But you'd have to flick the switch, wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd have to flick
the switch.
I would be flicking that switch.
You can't not fiddle, can you? It's there, you've got to play with it.
Yes, well,
I remember seeing an episode of this show when David talked about his bedroom door, didn't have a door handle on it. He had to claw his door open every single time he opened his bedroom door.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's not going to bother about a switch.
No, he lives in a slum,
He's going to
doesn't he?
leave the... Yeah, basically, yes, he does.
He lives in a slum.
So I say it's true.
If they paid proper repeat fees on Dave, it would be different.
So, Lee, what are you going to say? Truth or lie?
Des.
He's telling a lie.
You think he's telling a lie?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I don't think he can ignore that. Look at that intelligent face. Look at that beard now. He does look like a professor.
He hasn't got a bedroom door handle, Des.
How do you know?
How do you
Because
know?
I've watched...
So, truth or lie?
I think I will go with Tess and say it's true.
You're saying it's true. David, truth or lie?
It is true.
Yes!
Yes, it's true. David does have a mysterious red switch on the wall of his flat which he's never pressed.
Whenever I eat beans on toast, I always imagine I'm a rescue helicopter, and with every forkful, I'm airlifting tiny bald men on a raft to safety.
What do you think?
How long have you done this for?
Since I was about 8.
Right. Any reason you do this apart from just keeping yourself amused?
It's
or...
that my Auntie Bridget, who used to live with us...
Yes. Is this going to be a tragic story? She's bald, she was on a raft, she never survived, and it's our way of remembering her.
She was on a raft with 400 bald men
Yeah.
who needed
Trust
rescuing.
me, we all know your auntie. Yeah. You say raft, you mean mattress.
Yeah. Oh, I hope she's not watching.
She's busy, don't worry.
She used to live with us. My Auntie Bridget used to live in our house, and she would often have to look after us if our parents were out. You know, I wasn't a good eater. I was a very skinny kid. And she used to try all sorts of stuff, and this is one technique she had. She used to do all sorts of other things as well.
Like what? What else would she do?
Spaghetti was you were trying to, you know, you were throwing like a line, a rope down to rescue people at the bottom of a pit. Fish fingers were coaches.
Fish fingers were what?
There were coaches on the motorway. Here comes the coach, chop it in half. She's quite funny, my Auntie Bridget. She's quite odd.
Do you think the bald men in question that were going to die on the raft felt glad that they'd ended in a more comfortable position of going down your throat into your stomach?
Well,
did you feel that was a safer place for them?
Well, that was the helicopter they were coming into.
Oh, your mouth was the helicopter?
Yeah, my mouth is the helicopter. That's a raft going down. That's the raft. The raft is they're sitting on the fork, which is a raft.
No, the raft is the toast, surely.
The toast is the raft. No, because...
Yeah. What's the toast?
No, the toast is the boat they were in on the ocean. It's now covered in... Why would they be on a raft? If they're on a raft, they're already rescued. They're already OK.
But helicopters don't lower down rafts.
Oh, thanks. Well, you've just ruined an entire lifetime story for me.
Another man comes attached to the rope and he picks up each individual bald man on the raft. I've seen it. Every time I've seen loads of bald men dying at sea and a man comes out of a helicopter and individually picks them up. So if you'd have done your backstory and you were a proper actor, you would know that you're supposed to be taking one beat. That's what Charles Dance would have done. He'd have taken... because he does his research. Yeah, but... and that's why he's not going to be the voice of Postman Pat.
So what do you think?
What do we think, Charles? Are we buying this story?
Reluctantly, I think I am buying
Really?
this story.
You think it might be true?
I do actually think it sounds quite realistic. I think that in a child's brain you might make up all of these scenarios.
I don't think he was eating the beans. I mean, look at his hair. He was only eating the crust of that toast.
We think it's true, don't we?
You think it's true?
Yeah.
Charles says it's true?
Yeah.
I'll go on and we'll say it's true.
You're saying it's true. Stephen Mangan, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, a lie.
I was sacked from my job in a call centre for repeatedly using different accents on the phone.
David's team.
Who were you in a call centre for? Who did you work for?
I was working for Royal Mail.
Royal Mail?
Yes.
And what sort of call do you get? Where's my post?
It was a while ago, and you used to not have Google. and people used to ring for postcodes.
What's your favourite accent to do?
So obviously Welsh is easy, so...
Would you do the accent of the postcode?
So, yeah, that would... Sometimes you could do that.
So, OK, I'll be the person who
Okay.
needs my postcode.
Okay.
OK?
That does sound like a pre-Google phone, I'll give you that.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Bula da.
I need a postcode, please.
That's nice.
Oh, are you Welsh as well?
Ah, dim eich ffradi.
Oh, nachyn nawr I bydd y mair. Ac y mair a sitting at a panel ac I got a moron to your left.
Can you give me the full address, please?
All right. 14 Mac Avenue.
Oh, now where's that now?
It's just round the corner from Success Street.
14 Mac Avenue, Deadsville, Nowhere Town.
I'm afraid...
Oh, it is in Wales.
Oh, yes, that's very near Swansea. The postcode you require is S for Sugar, W for Wilson, 8, R for Robert, B for Bertie.
That's a lot nearer Wimbledon than I expected. SW.
Well, I wasn't always right.
David, why don't you make an inquiry?
OK. Hello.
Well, hang on, you've got to ring her first.
That's really good.
The sooner this is privatised, the better.
Hey there, hello, hi.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to speak to an American.
No, I know. It's exciting. I just came over here and I got myself a job.
That's very good. That's
Were
very
you working 9 to 5, by any chance?
How can I help y'all?
Well, I would
How
like...
y'all doing there? You have a nice day? It's so hot here in London, I can't tell you. I'm sweating like a pig.
Well, hang on, it's not one of those lines, is it? Yeah, it's real hot here. I might just get out of these hot clothes. In which case, at the other end, you'd hear, really? Oh, gosh, well, I certainly wasn't expecting that. So how did they discover that you were doing these voices?
I didn't know, but they were listening in to check.
For training purposes?
And so they were listening in for a week on me.
Look, I have as much of a sense of fun as the next man. But
I hope it's not him.
That's very disrespectful to your employers.
They were paying me, like, $4.60 an hour, I think.
Well, work more hours.
Work more hours, save up, you can go on a cruise.
So what did they say to you? What did they say to you?
They took me aside, and there was going to be, like, Christmas break, and they just said, we're asking everyone back after Christmas, but we're not asking you. I should have said, that's fine, sugar, I don't even care. But,
So what do you think? Claude?
No, you have to say it out loud.
I think it's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
They wouldn't wait a week to fire her. I'd have fired her immediately.
I think it's believable that you could be that bored in a phone centre.
I'm leaning towards true.
OK, you're saying it's true. Cariad, truth or lie?
it's true.
Yes, it's true. Cariad was sacked from her job for using different accents.
I developed a word association system to remember people's names, but gave it up when it backfired on me.
David?
What was the word association system?
That I developed?
To help remember people's names.
It was...
Jack, you've just got a bit of fluff on you.
Thank you very much.
Keep thinking,
Oh,
son.
What I do is I attach a quality to someone and then try and relate that quality to the person's name.
So, just for example,
so,
what would that be?
So, Jason Manford, if I think Jason and the Argonauts, and that would perhaps... And then next time I'll see you, I'll think... Argonauts will make me think of Jason.
What's Argonaut like about Jason?
For instance, Jason the Argonauts, I might therefore... J and Argonaut gives me Juggernaut. Right. And you look to me like a lorry driver.
Right.
So, therefore, I would think lorry driver Jason.
And then when you next meet him, you say, "Hi, Yorkie, how are you?"
It has been known to backfire.
Which is where we come to the hilarious backfiring anecdote.
Oh, that was a bad one. Yeah. We met someone on holiday, and his name was Charles, and he wore very big sunglasses, like only a blind person would wear. And so I thought, that's brilliant, Ray Charles, because I will remember. I remember from the sunglasses, and therefore I will get Charles. And then so next year when we go, I can confidently say, hello, Charles. But it didn't work, because 12 months later, and you've slightly forgotten what you'd set up as a system. So he walks in, I go, hello, Stevie.
Where did you meet him? Where was it?
On the holiday.
Where was it?
In Holidayville.
Yeah.
Just in Dorset. It was in Dorset.
And what? So you were in a pub. You were in a pub, and he walked over, and you went, Stevie.
He came out. Yeah, it was the following year, and I saw him again.
Did he live round there?
Where were you sat?
No, he was a fellow holiday maker.
So, and you developed a sort of mild acquaintanceship with a man whose name you could barely remember, but planned to holiday with him again.
No, there was no plan involved, David. We didn't get together and say, are you going to be here next year? Yes, are you?
But you obviously thought it was a possibility, because you already had a plan for remembering his name.
Oh, I perhaps didn't explain correctly that I'd seen him the previous year at the same place and not known his name.
So now it's 3 years on the
So for 3 years, you and Charles holidayed with metronomic regularity at the same place in Dorset. You kind of escaped
well, that's
the man.
not so unusual. People tend to frequent the same place for holiday.
Year one, you see him, but you don't exchange names.
And then
year two, you learn his name.
To clarify this point, year one, there's no reason why I would know his name, because I hadn't been introduced to him.
No. There's no reason for you to know his name at all.
Year two, I had forgotten his name, but endeavoured to remember it for the third year.
Right. All right, David. Is that the truth, or is it part of Jack's impish sense of fun and a lie?
I think it's the truth.
Dear, I think it's a lie.
I think it's true. I think I'm going to go for true.
Fine, that's all right.
You know.
You're saying true?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's the team decision. OK. Jack D.
It was true.
Oh!
Hey.
That's me.
Very good, well done. Don't believe me.
It's true. Jack did develop a word association system to remember people's names, but gave it up when it backfired on him.
Sometimes I pretend to have broken something in my house so that when a man comes round to fix it, I can play him at ping pong.
So hang on, just to be clear, what you're saying is you sometimes pretend that there's something broken in your house to get an handyman round so you can what?
So we can play ping pong.
But why did you get a strange man round to play ping pong?
It's not really a strange man. He's a neighbour, but he's like a handyman. When, like, sometimes, you know, I want to play ping pong, I'll tell him something's
Why
broke.
can't you just tell him you want to play ping pong?
Because, I don't know, I just...
Are you telling me the relationship with your neighbour is so bad that the only way you can get him to come round to your house is by pretending something's broken at your place?
No, it's not that bad. He likes ping pong.
What's he called?
What's he called?
I don't know, I've never met him.
What's he called? Handyman. You could call him Handyman.
But you know, but what's his real name when
What's his
when
real
he's
name?
not
His real name's
handyman?
Paul.
Paul, the handyman?
Paul, yeah, Handyman Paul, really, not
And
Paul
how
the
long have you
handyman.
known Paul for?
I've been living there for maybe the past 3-4 years, so
And
yeah. That
how
long.
many times has he played ping pong with you in that?
Oh, loads of times. Always something wrong in my house.
So you might say, what might be broken, for example?
For example, I might say, OK, the light's off in, like, the conservatory or something, and then...
Conservatory? Oh, you're very grime, aren't you? And, so you put all your hip-hop money into a conservatory, and... so how would you go from the lights broken in the conservatory to... Do you want to get him a table tennis?
Because when he comes round and then, say, for example, sometimes it's not broken, I say, oh, I fixed it as he gets there, and I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, let's pop in for a quick ping-pong game, man.
David, do you play table tennis?
I do, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Are you good?
And I'm all right.
OK.
But can you fix a light switch? Otherwise, you've got no chance of playing in.
Absolutely not. No.
So how do you serve, David? Do you serve like that, like that.
David
or
always
like
gets somebody
that.
to serve him.
Tinchy, I'd really like to sort of to get an idea of how you move the conversation to ping pong. So let's say you've broken your TV. So how would it go?
I'll be Paul the handyman.
Hello.
Oh, I haven't opened the door yet. Is it sticking? I can fix that. Actually, no, I can't, because we're going to have to play table tennis again, aren't we? I know how this goes.
When someone knocks your door, like, knock, knock, I say, who is it? I don't open and say, who is it?
OK.
Who is it?
Paul the handyman, you phoned me about 3 minutes ago about your television. Who do you think?
Oh, hello, Paul. Yeah. Open the door, you're in. What's up?
What's up? You tell me, it's your telly.
That's
what I see. What is happening, dude?
Your relationship with him is very sarcastic.
You try being his ping pong mate, you start getting sarcastic.
How do you introduce ping pong?
I say, oh, yeah, do you want a drink? And then he'll be like, I'm all right. And I'm like, do you want a game? Kind of simple.
And you give him the special drink and he wakes up in the table tennis?
It's like...
Now, answer me this. What is he wearing?
What's he wearing?
When he wakes up.
When he wakes up?
Have you dressed him as a professional table tennis player?
No,
he's strapped you to a mannequin. I'm sick of this!
So what are you thinking, Lee? Is this looking plausible?
Gabby?
I think it's true because he doesn't want to be too upfront with Paul, the handyman, so he invites him round to fix...
Handyman Paul.
Sorry, handyman Paul. With handyman Paul for ping pong. Ping pong Paul.
Even that name is better. Ping pong Paul.
Ping pong Paul.
So what are we thinking?
I think it's a lie.
So Romesh says it's a lie.
Yeah.
I think it's true.
Gabby says it's true.
Difficult
It's got to be a
decision.
lie.
It's a lie. OK, Tinchy, truth or lie?
Everything I was saying was all true.
Yes, it's true. Tinchy does like to play ping pong with the man that comes round to fix things in his house.
After a visit to a school fete, I had to tell my neighbour their cat had been run over, while my own face was painted like a kitten.
Please, team.
Oh, please be true. Please. You were at the school fete as what? As a dad, or were you working on the stall doing the face painting or anything? Or were you just
there was a sort of shift, so I did help with one of the stalls, but I was also there just as a parent.
What was the stall you were helping on?
Bric-a-brac.
Bric-a-brac?
Bric-a-brac.
How did you find out the cat had been killed?
Because it was killed regrettably close to our house.
What kind of cat was it?
A tabby cat.
And how was it killed, sorry?
Unfortunately, it was a truck that shouldn't have been... it's one of the very... not just a normal-sized lorry, a very, very long lorry that should not really have thought that it could drive around those streets, but was attempting to, and it flattened.
So you actually saw the lorry flatten the cat, and then you had to go and tell the neighbour?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the truth, except for the part about the truck and that actually you killed this cat.
What was the cat called?
She was called Jenny.
Jenny the cat. Jenny.
What was the owner called? Tiddles? In a horrible name mix-up, they started calling each other by the wrong name.
If you want to find fault with someone's cat naming logic, you've got to have a go at my neighbours.
Well, they're grieving. Let's leave them out of it.
Yeah.
Did you
kill their cat?
I didn't.
You say you didn't kill the cat. You might have been partly responsible because you were there dressed as a cat when it happened. It might have been the driver of the truck.
I wasn't dressed as a cat.
Has looked over and gone, size of that cat. Meanwhile, the little cat crossed in the road has gone, is that your mummy? Those two incidents combined, you've killed little Jennifer, to give her full name.
No, just either that or it was a hit aimed for you, and the description given was, it looks a bit like a cat.
Did you pick the cat up and take it to the neighbours, or did you just point to the cat and say, that's where your cat is? No.
I didn't pick it up.
What happened when they answered the door? Talk us through that conversation, because that must have been very awkward.
Had you still, at this point, not remembered that your face was painted like
No,
that?
I didn't realise until after I told them, and then I went home and went, oh, I just had to tell so-and-so.
So they've opened the door. Can you remember anything about the first few words of that conversation?
Well, it was very awkward. I've never had to do that before. So I said...
Meow!
They said hello in a sort of cheery, or maybe he's come round for some sort of jolly reason.
Well, no one gave them that impression.
And I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid that I've just seen Jenny get run over.
And they said?
What?
What did they say then? Oh, sorry, you're acting.
They said what?
I thought you were asking me, sorry. I genuinely thought you didn't understand the question, but you were in character, sorry.
Yeah. If we get to a point where you're asking questions I don't understand, something has happened.
The regulars like that one.
And they said, thank you very much for telling us. And then I went back into my house, I live next door, and...
Did you go through the front door or back? When you realised you had your makeup on still at home?
My wife pointed out to me. I came home and I said, oh, this dreadful thing's just happened. And my wife said, you know that you've still got your face painted like a kitten? And I said, oh, no.
Did you and your wife look at each other in shock and just feel terrible, or did you both instantly start laughing?
She laughed immediately.
She's an awful woman, though.
No, you're not. Ignore the Irish man.
You're the best female truck driver in the world. You all right, Miles? You know what that is? Furballs.
So what are you thinking, Lee? Does this have the ring of truth for you?
Amelia, what do we think?
I think it's a total lie.
Do you? Not
Do you?
even an ounce of truth in this?
Not for me. It's going round to the neighbours, and you haven't really actually told us anything about the neighbours. You haven't talked about who it was who answered the door and how you then got to talk to them.
Oh, right, well, Paul answered the door.
Paul. And Paul is married too.
Paul is not married.
Oh, but you did say them. You told them that their cat had died.
Yeah, there are a number of ways in which people cohabit.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe
I
it?
don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
Oh, you're going to say
Say
lie.
lie.
Says lie.
OK. Miles, truth or lie?
Oh, ye of little... It's a lie.
After an incident last year, I have a fear that some of my neighbours think I hunt ducklings.
David's team.
What was the incident?
Hang on. Got it. So, I live by a river.
Yeah.
That much is true.
We know it's true because we both enjoyed an evening, one of his evenings at his house.
We have indeed.
Do you remember it, David, don't you? Because you and Rob both left, and then 10 minutes later, you snuck back, didn't you? He's gone. And I remember as David drove off going, I'll give you a lift, David! 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 So, I live by the river.
Yeah.
And there was a duckling in the front of our house. Let's call it the driveway.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I didn't want to say driveway because I start making them all showbiz that I've got a car. Anyway, so there's the duckling,
Which
right?
part of the drive? Was it down by the gate, so where it sweeps up around the lawn?
I don't know. I'd got over the moat, to be honest with you. Actually, a duckling would be quite good at going through. I reckon I know how, as you're thinking about it.
So this duckling on its own.
Yeah, so
is
there's a
on
duckling.
on the drive.
He's on the driveway.
Yeah.
This was the yellow fluffy variety.
Right.
And so I decided I must catch the duckling and try and put it back in the water.
Yeah,
in the river.
Why?
You mean why have I got a heart, David?
Yeah.
Why did you bother about this non-human thing? Why did you eat it?
So, yeah, no,
Why
duck
did
is...
you baste it, fry it and shove it in your mouth?
Are you saying
I
that
didn't get... Sorry, David.
Yeah, I mean, you've had enough time to invent anything.
Right.
So you see the duckling on the drive.
Yes.
You pick up. What is this thing that you're picking up?
This is I have a big net in my house.
Right.
Yeah. And so I see this duck and I catch it and I scoop it up. So I've now got a duck in the net.
You're right.
And my plan was to look round for lots of baby ducklings and a sort of adult-sized duck going. That was my plan.
Right.
You did say the duckling was yellow.
Did I?
Yeah, what colour are the ducks on the river?
Uh-oh.
What?
Can we go into conference for a moment?
Because the ducks on the river are almost certainly mallards.
Yes?
And their ducklings are not yellow.
Yeah, but this wasn't complete. This wasn't pure
I don't
Mallard.
care. Wrong. Now, one of the most important things not to do with ducklings when you find them in the spring is to touch them or handle them at all. Because the mother will reject them.
Yes.
I didn't handle him, I netted him. Do you know why I didn't handle him? Because the mother would have rejected it.
So how far have you walked
A long
to this
way,
point?
because I couldn't find any ducks and any ducklings. So I'm now walking up, and I have noticed that people have passed me, and I've given them the, all right, and they've gone, all right. It dawns on me after half a mile, they're going, I think this stretch of the river, which is famous for fishing, I think that weirdo has been catching ducklings. They think I've scooped one out, because it's a proper big fishing net I've got. So I decided to go home, ring up the RSPCB.
RSPCD.
B, I said.
D. P.
There's the RSPB.
Oh, sorry.
RSPB, you idiot.
Or the RSPCA.
You thought it was B, you weirdo! Preventing cruelty to ducklings, that's a very niche market. Oh, no, we're only goslings.
So what do you think, David? Is he telling the truth?
I should point out that we did find out that it was goose.
So it was a bright yellow gosling.
It was bright yellow, and I thought it was a duckling, and it turned out to be
Goslings
a gosling.
are bright yellow.
Oh. Are they?
OK, what do you think?
The thing is, it's so heavily embroidered, this story.
Yeah.
But I think it's substantially true.
Alan?
Well, throughout the story, I thought it was a complete nonsense.
Yes, I did throughout. But then there was something about him saying they came back and they said actually it was a baby goose. And it having been yellow, that's tipped me into thinking it might be true. I'm going to say true.
True?
Yeah.
OK. Lee, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, true.
Sarah, you're next.
I once spent over an hour trapped in a bin.
David's team.
Why did you get in the bin?
Because I put something in and I needed to get it back.
You'd mistakenly thrown something away?
Yes.
So where was this bin?
It was outside my house. Yeah, like a big recycling bin.
Oh, was it a bottle bank, Sarah? Did you climb back in? There was some in that. There was some in
There's
that.
a little bit left in there.
So what had you thrown out by accident?
Some important paperwork. There'd been a pile of recycling and the important, like, tax stuff had got mixed in with it.
Right.
And so I said to my friend, where's the tax stuff?
Why would your friend know?
Because he was helping me.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
You've been out to
Yeah.
put the recycling in the bin.
Yeah.
You come back in.
Gone back.
Oh, my God, the vital documents aren't there.
Quick, get back to the bin.
Back out to the bin.
It's got a
Right.
slot. Surely I can get in there, can't I?
Yeah.
So you go in, and
Go in.
what happens?
Well, I tried to get back out, and my head and my top half got through, but then your hips are the widest part of your body, and I couldn't get those through. So I thought, what if I take off my dungarees and I just had, like, pants and a sports bra on?
One sad, lonely man in the audience there. Oh, yes! Great! Finally! What a light you get sexy!
Well, you'll love what's coming up next, sir. So... my friend went back and got some body lotion, and so I could lube myself up. So I was more slippy to get... and then he pulled me out, and I took some skin off my hips, but I got out.
Oh, no. All right. What are you thinking?
There is something about it that does seem true. It does also seem like something that might happen in a, I don't know, a sort of slapstick sitcom.
You don't...
I think it's a lie.
I think it's a lie.
I think we think it's a lie.
You're going to say it's a lie?
Yeah.
OK. Sarah, truth or lie?
It's true.
When I got my first car, my friend and I would pretend to be cops, park up, eat burgers and tail cars we'd picked out of the traffic.
David's team.
How old were you at the time?
Well, I would have just passed my test, so 17.
What was your first car?
It was a Mini.
indicate how you pretended to be cops?
We used to watch a lot of American films where cops normally sat in the car eating donuts and drinking coffee, and then they'd see somebody go by who might be a criminal, and they'd sort of throw the food and speed off. And so that's what we were doing, in essence.
So you were American cops?
Yeah.
And what were you eating?
Just normally a burger and some chips.
And how far would you let yourself get through the burger before you decide someone was a criminal and you throw it away?
Well, we let fate decide, really, because we would say the next green car that goes by, that's going to be the criminal.
How do you know how the police operate?
What happened when you caught up with them?
Well, we also set a rule that we would follow them all the way to where they were going.
Oh. It's starting to sound a bit sinister now.
This has changed now.
And when they arrived, then we would just carry on. We wouldn't confront them or anything.
And how far was the furthest you went in pursuit?
Bulgaria. That was a really crap weekend, wasn't it? When are they going to stop? The bloke in the front's going, don't stop, there's a bloke following us. I don't know, Bulgaria, just keep going.
How far was the furthest you went? Like more than a mile, 2 miles?
Oh, more than that, but we'd never go out of the county. We lived in Surrey.
Because you had no jurisdiction.
Did you exceed the speed limit?
Well, if they did, we would then lose them because we didn't have authority to speed.
What did you think they were guilty of? What were their crimes? Why were you after them?
Just because we'd been told to.
Who was telling you?
Bring him in.
Did you have little radios? All units, we're looking for a green Ford Cortina. Registration, Alpha Papa Papa Alpha.
Didn't know Alan Bennett was a policeman.
Here we go. He said, we're looking for a car, it's just escaped. If anybody happens to see it, do take chase, but don't get too close.
David, I'm holding you responsible for that one.
I thought he'd already done it.
So what do you think, David?
I think it might be real.
I think
it might be true.
He had a bit of fun.
Well, I think we think it's true then.
Yeah.
You're going to say true?
Yeah.
Warwick Davis, truth or lie?
It is the truth.
Yes, it's true. When Warwick got his first car, he and a friend would pretend to be cops, park up, eat burgers and tail cars they'd picked out of the traffic.
One December night, while dressed as Joseph, I had to shove a donkey off a country lane.
Beastie.
When was this, Noddy?
This would have been mid-70s.
So why were you dressed as Joseph?
Well, a friend of mine used to have a party every Christmas time, just before Christmas. And it was always fancy dress. And this particular year, he wanted to feature the Nativity. And I originally wanted to be Angel Gabriel.
Right.
But he said, I'm not having you, Angel Gabriel. You can be Joseph.
Why couldn't you be Angel Gabriel? Because of the accent? Oh, look, it's the little baby Jesus.
So I got an old curtain round me and a tea towel on my head.
Like tonight. So, whose party was it?
It was my best friend's party.
OK.
And...
Do they have a name, Noddy?
Swin. His name was Swin.
Swin? I wish you'd have said Big Ears, but come on. So, where does the donkey...
So, the time was getting on. It was 1 o'clock. I thought I'd better make my way home. And when I get outside, the air hit me and I felt a bit spacey and I think somebody had spiked my drink. So I set off and it sort of got worse and worse as I drove on. I was sort of blue flashing lights coming past me and all sorts.
Those would have been the police.
No, that comes later. Anyway, I'm driving and I thought I'll take the scenic route.
Right.
So I started to go down all these country lanes to make my way home. And suddenly, in the middle of the road, is a donkey. So I screeches to a halt, thinking, am I imagining this donkey, or is it a real donkey?
Am I really Joseph?
Is it possible it was just Elvis Costello turning up late to the party in fancy dress?
So I screeches to a halt, and I thought, I better get out and check whether I can't carry on. I couldn't drive round it, the lane was too narrow.
Yeah.
And I got out the car to feel if it was real or not.
Are you genuinely... So you're genuinely still not sure, even though you're right up to it? You have to feel it to
I
see...
had to feel it.
Can I ask you a question? Is this one big alibi for touching up a donkey?
So I gets behind him.
Good idea. Safest place with a donkey, Noddy.
And start pushing him from behind.
Where's this story leading, Noddy?
Suddenly I hear,
Don't you mean E or E?
Of course, coming down the road is a cop car. Now, I'm used to, in those days, being pulled every night after late...
It's Christmas, Noddy, it's Christmas.
Anyway, they get out the car and do the usual. Here we are. Mr. Christmas, what's he doing now? As a last punchline, I said, I've been celebrating tonight because my wife's just had a kid. Which I thought was pretty good at the time.
What do you think, James?
I think it's true, but it's just nice to listen to him tell the story, and I kind of forgot halfway through I'm meant to be knowing if it's true or not.
It's definitely telling the truth.
I think it's the truth.
I think true.
True?
True.
OK, we'll say
Saying
it's
it's true. Noddy, was it true or were you telling a lie?
It is true.
Yes, it's true. Noddy did shove a donkey off a road while dressed as Joseph.
Whenever I travel by tube, I look around the carriage to decide who I'd eat first. If we were a group of people stranded on a desert island.
Wait.
I hope this isn't true, Jermaine.
Although we are now all doing it.
Yeah.
And I think we all know what we're thinking.
Yeah. It's certainly not going to end well for me.
The thing about you is it could eat you and make a raft out of the bones. So, Jermaine, is this the thing you only do on the tube?
Well, you know how, I mean, you can sit in the tube, stupefied with boredom, and ask yourself what everyone would look like undressed. And that is just so depressing a thought that I started to work variations on this theme and thinking, you know, who looks toothsome?
Toothsome?
Yes. Who would you like to sink your teeth into?
I thought looking toothsome meant you had a lot of teeth.
Well, you thought wrong.
Really? Did I really?
How do you make the judgment call, then? Is it just the fattest, or...?
No, it's not just the fattest, because they're probably the least interesting. You might decide...
Interesting.
Well, because it's just lard. Unfortunately, it's positively correlated with youth.
So you like the idea of eating youth?
Imagine, Jermaine, we're all on the tube together.
Hang on, she's eyeing me up here. She's fully eyeing me up.
In which order do you eat us?
Well, Jermaine is quite right. He has to go first. He's the fittest.
That's an assumption.
Thank you very much.
So you're starting with Jermaine. All right, we'll allow you that. Who do you turn to next?
I think it'd probably be Alan next.
It's hard to know if it's a compliment or not, isn't it?
Do you remember that feeling at school when you were lined up and they were picking the football team? And the only thing you could think was, I better not be last. It's happening again!
So you've got Jermaine and Alan. Who would you go to next?
Oh, David, I think.
Thank you.
It does feel like an honour, doesn't it?
It does. I'm very proud to finish in the top half of the table.
Why would you go to... Why, for Lord's sake, would you go to David before me, to a lesser extent Lee, and Richard? Why?
I think Richard would be a bit difficult to handle, to manage.
So you've got the three of us left. Who's next?
And it'd be a matter of how one cooked you. Crackling is what comes to mind.
I don't know if she's insulting me or praising me.
Everybody loves crackling if it's made properly.
Yes, I like that. So it's me next, is it?
Well, yes, maybe. Look, this is getting out of hand, I'm afraid. I'm full already. I'm not even hungry anymore.
Take it a little more seriously, please. So you're left now. You're left with the two stragglers. You've been pushing them round your plate. You really don't want to know. It's, Lee and, Richard. Who do you go to next?
I can't help thinking at this point I'd have probably got off the tube.
So who was last, just to be sure? For when I get the T-shirts
I
printed.
thought I'd spared Richard.
You spared Richard because you think he's doing so.
let him go.
Lee is technically last. Excellent.
So Lee is last, but you refuse to eat Richard at all.
So what's he going to be?
What do we think, Richard?
Well, I think, just look in her eyes. It's so true.
So you both think it's true?
Yeah.
I think it's a lie.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But I'll go with the majority, because I'm weak.
You're going to say true. Jermaine, truth or lie?
Lie.
When I was a teacher, whilst trying to explain a tricky concept, I accidentally locked a pupil in a cupboard.
David's team.
OK, what was the concept? Was it the concept of imprisonment?
It was a maths lesson. I was teaching the topic of probability and chance.
That's the chances of getting locked in the cupboard.
Well, that became an extra learning objective. That wasn't the main one. I was trying to get across the idea of
Narnia.
Yeah. I was trying to get them to understand how to explain the concept of probability. So the idea was that if you had, like, an alien arrive on Earth, how would you explain probability?
Which would be the first thing you'd do, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, actually,
Put the laser down, let me talk to you about maths.
Yeah.
Ramesh, what age group was this?
So this is year 8, so 11, 12 years old.
So...
what happened is I needed somebody to pretend to be an alien.
OK.
So I selected a child from the class. I didn't just go out and look for one.
How did you select? Did you go for the little green one with the pointy ears?
Well, no, actually, what it was is I thought I was doing a good thing because, you know, you get some kids that are sort of... they have problems making friendships and stuff like that. And I had a kid like that in the class, so I thought I'd bring him out of himself.
You chose the kid that got bullied to be the alien. So that the rest of the class can point at him and go, alien.
I mean, to be fair, I thought we were just playing a game. I didn't realise it's an Ofsted inspection. So basically what it was, I was trying to make it realistic.
OK.
So I said to him, why don't we pretend this cupboard is like a transformation chamber? You know, you go in the cupboard, you go in as a boy.
Oh, it's just getting worse, isn't it? One of my kids came home from school and described this scene. I'd be down that school like a shot.
And how surprised would you then be to see that teacher on the BBC a few years later?
In the current climate, not surprised at all.
Basically, I said to him, you're going to go into the cupboard, you're going to transform into an alien.
What was the concept again you was trying to teach the kid?
Probability.
Probability?
Yeah.
We haven't got to that bit yet. We're going to find out when he steps out.
Oh, right now we're trying to find out how to transform to an alien right now.
That's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to him coming out. We never get that far, do we? What am I talking about?
At the next Ofsted inspection, a small skeleton was discovered.
And they said, what are the chances of that? And they said, well, interesting, you should ask that. What were you going to do, though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
If he hadn't have got locked in, what were you going to do?
The idea was is that he was going to come out and be the alien, and then I was going to get different kids to...
Get different kids to... Don't lose confidence.
So, I was going to get different kids to explain to him what probability was. So he was going to be like the dummy alien, and then like he'd be like... Boo, boo, boo. And then...
Never to be bullied again.
No, I can't help feeling that I'm a little bit under attack here.
It's all right, because you may be lying, in which case you're off the hook. Why does it help to understand probability, to get children to explain it to an alien?
So basically, in order to get the idea that a kid understands a concept, them explaining it and that explanation being clear illustrates that they have learnt it completely.
So Romesh, you've sort of left it at he's in the cupboard. What, he got in.
Yeah.
What happened?
I realised I couldn't open the door to let him out. So I sort of started looking around for other teachers to help me. And they said, actually, the cupboard, it can be opened from the inside. The problem came when I said to him, you're going to have to come out the cupboard, just open it from the inside. And he replied... Yeah, because he was being an alien.
Right.
So that extended the problem. And he was in there for 20 minutes.
So he came out in the end, he eventually opened it, he came out and...
Well, the lesson was ruined.
What are you thinking, David?
I do know that Romesh used to be a maths teacher.
Oh, OK.
Right.
So, and that, you know, education's loss was show business's gain. There were so many gaps in the story, I just...
Yeah, the story wasn't really adding up, right?
Yeah.
Well, a maths teacher.
We think it's a lie, do we?
I think it might be.
It's a lie for all of you. OK. Romesh, truth or lie?
The story is true.
It's true. Romesh did accidentally lock one of his pupils in a cupboard.
I once broke into a convent and stole food from some nuns.
Please do.
When did this happen?
When I was hungry. Quite hungry. Which was when I was young and didn't have any money.
How young?
Not 18, 19.
Was it just you, or was there anyone else involved?
A friend helped me.
And what did you steal?
I stole vegetables.
Vegetables?
Stole
When was
vegetables?
Is it the 19th century?
Well, because it's nuns. Nuns grow things in gardens.
Well, they do on TV, but in real life they go to Asda.
All nuns grow vegetables.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
I can't imagine a nun not growing vegetables.
If you can name a nun who doesn't grow vegetables, then go ahead.
Trevor Nunn.
What I did was, while she distracted them at the door, I snuck round into their garden, which they do have, it's not just on TV, and stole vegetables.
Dug them up?
No, you don't dig up all vegetables. There are some hanging.
Like what?
Beans.
You're milking a cow now. Is there a cow there as well? Don't worry, we'll get some milk while we're at it. So you lived near this nunnery?
No, we had to drive there.
Why, if you were poor, did you have a car?
She had a car.
Right, so...
How did you get 2 syllables out of poor? You almost got more syllables than there are letters.
How far was the car journey, Jennifer?
About 40 minutes, I suppose.
You drove for 40 minutes? Just doing a heist.
It was a heist.
It would have cost you more in petrol.
Yeah,
to just buy potatoes and tomatoes.
Not in 1980, no. Petrol was quite cheap then.
What do you think? Does this sound as though it could be true?
No way.
So, Steph, you think it's a lie. Joe, which way?
Yeah, I think it's a lie.
I think it's true.
No.
Just the one syllable.
What, that you...
I was waiting for the rest of it.
So what's it going to be?
I have to go with the majority, even though I feel it's true.
OK, they say it's a lie. Jennifer, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
When I want to remember something late at night, instead of writing it down, I just grab an object from my bedside table and throw it across the room.
There we are. Lee, what do you think?
So what's the theory behind that?
Well, I think that if I throw it in the morning, I'll remember what it was that I was trying to remember.
So, for example, if you were lying in bed and you were thinking, I must remember tomorrow to pick up the pillow, you'd get the pillow, you'd throw it...
Have you experimented with slightly easier techniques of remembering stuff, like pen and paper, maybe?
It is quite odd to throw things, but actually, in a way, having a pen and paper next to your bed, I would say is odder. I'd be more freaked out like it was some sort of marking system.
Is that why there's pen and paper next to the beds in hotels? It's in case people want to mark each other.
It's not just for countdown days. When was the last time you did it?
Do you remember?
No, I was just...
Sorry, what was that? That was an odd moment, wasn't it?
First of all, we're trying to work out which of the two of you she's looking at. If indeed, was it both?
What happened there is I considered saying something and then stopped myself. I thought before anyone had noticed I'd considered saying something.
And I, comedic effect, pretended that we were sleeping together.
Yeah.
Trust me, we knew it was for comedic effect.
Yeah. It's the only reason anyone ever does sleep with me.
So, no, the last time that I did it was to remember... I think I hadn't done my kids' school lunch boxes, so it was to remember to do their lunch boxes.
Right.
Does it have to be something related? So if it's to remember to book a taxi, do you throw a model taxi onto the floor? Is it something that will there be a clue? Will the clue be there as we go through?
The clue is when
I'm doing David Frost.
Somehow, when I trip over them in the morning, it just immediately triggers.
So, Lee, what's it going to be?
I think it's a 50-50 one, this.
Yeah.
Oh,
50-50.
no. Sorry.
What would your percentage balance be?
I think 100% it's a lie.
That's a big call.
Which way are you leaning, Christian?
Oh.
Oh, for heaven's sake, please, must this be a festival of smut?
I suspect it's probably true.
I think I'm going to lean more towards Christian and say that is true.
You're saying true. OK, Gabby, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
I have actually been fired by Alan Sugar.
Oh, there we are.
Right, OK. So why were you working for Alan Sugar?
I wasn't directly working for him. I was working for a catering company when I first left drama school, like a lot of good drama students, black trousers, white shirt, handing round the drinks and the canapes, and I turned too quickly and knocked 3 glasses of red wine, I remember everything, 2 glasses of white wine and 4 canapes down a lady's top.
And the lady was?
Angry.
Cross. I had no idea who he was until years later when I saw him on the telly, and I thought, that's the... who fired me.
So he was he standing next to
Yes, yes, it was his do. He was the host of the do, and I was summarily dispensed with.
Dispensed of or disposed with?
Dispersed.
Yeah.
Tossed off.
Thank you.
What was the name of the catering company?
Oh, God, Mayflower. Well done.
You were the one that remembered it.
Yes, I know.
It's good that he can pat himself on the back of it. Yeah. Well done.
It was
Martin
a long time ago.
Clunes. Well done. Yes. This is where I live. Well done.
So what? So she was cross. He was standing next to her.
To be honest, she was just wet and dirty, as I remember. But he was. No, she was just busy with worrying about her clothes, and his summary firing of me was a sort of display for her benefit as much as anything.
So he was right there and he did it
Yes.
himself?
Did he use his catchphrase? He's a lovely man.
You're fired. Did he do that?
You're thinking of Rocky Balboa, I think, aren't you?
You fired. I fired. That's exactly it. You fired, Edwin. You fired.
Please, that's a very good Rocky Balboa, but doesn't he really sound a bit more like this? Hello, very much. Hello, time.
What did he actually say to
Oh
you?
God, I can't remember. There was anger, there was shouting. He didn't swear, but he made me look stupid. But cunningly, I already looked stupid. So I thought it didn't really hurt.
Right, David.
I think Mayflower sounds very much like a sort of outside catering company.
But do you think that if you're the guest who's been spilt all over, wet and dirty, that he would have turned round and said, "You're fired"?
It's a very nasty thing to do, because it's only an accident.
And you were 20.
You were full of apologies at this
Of course I
moment.
was full of apologies. I had some spillage on me, but I didn't, bang on
Didn't
about
blame
that.
her. That was probably a wise course not to go, "What are you doing, you stupid bitch? Standing right in my way!"
He's telling the truth.
You think he is telling the truth?
I think he is telling the truth.
What do you
But
think?
he is a
That's-
brilliant actor.
Thank you.
Well, he's
You
an
are.
actor. I mean, with the greatest respect, we're not talking about Robert De Niro, are we? It's Martin Clunes. I mean...
Is he going to do Robert De Niro now?
I can't do him.
Go on, have a stab.
That's all I can do.
That was a monkey. Robert De Niro as a monkey. He's very versatile. He could do a monkey that well.
What's that? Al Pacino? OK. Tom
Like
Jones?
Robert De Niro, that, isn't it, with longer arms?
No, Al Pacino is... OK, Pacino, OK? What do you got?
That's Columbo.
Yes!
Actually, to be fair to him, when you stand up, it is a very good Ronnie Corbett.
Yeah.
So who's guessing? If that ends up in the show, I'm gone. Come on, everybody. Let's have a guess.
Well, I think you instinctively think it's true.
I'm going to go with true.
Well, I haven't got a clue. So.
I can only go with Fern.
Well,
Can
I think, yes. Let's go with
Lovely.
you.
OK, we're going with Fern, and you're saying that it's true? Martin Clunes, our greatest living actor. Were you telling the truth, or were you telling a lie?
I was telling a porcupine.
I have 5 chickens, all named after my favourite newsreaders.
Oh.
Well, there we are. Right, these team, what do you think?
What are their names?
Their names are Anna Ford,
Yeah.
Jan Lee Ming,
Another newsreader.
Selina Scott,
Newsreader.
2 Scottish ones, Viv Lumsden
Viv
and
Lumsden,
Mary
yeah.
Marquis. They were very well-known newsreaders in Scotland.
What, specifically for Scottish news?
There is Scottish news, yes.
You didn't mention Angela Rippon, did you?
Angela Rippon died. Not the newsreader, the chicken.
Actually, it was Moira Stewart that died.
Oh, not Moira.
This is Chickeny Moira Stewart that's passed away.
Chickeny
In case
Moira
any
Stewart.
viewers are
Yes.
upset, Newsy Moira Stewart is as fit as she's ever been.
Well, as long as she can...
Yeah,
Can I just ask, is that a joke about Moira Stewart, or did you really have a chicken called Moira Stewart that died?
I really... it's just the way you're looking at me is putting me off. I really had a...
I have to say,
this is not the first time a woman has said that to me.
What breed of chicken are they?
They are Burford Browns and Cotswold Leg Bars.
Right, do you know enough about chickens? Are they real chickens, then?
Yeah, those are real chickens.
How do you know so much about chicken? You seem to know a lot.
Well, I know that... well, in Waitrose...
I thought for a minute then you were some sort of farming expert. It turns out you're just very middle class.
Exactly. And they've got those Cotswold leggy ones, I've noticed, the eggs.
Can I ask why you didn't have any male newsreaders?
Well, because we actually... Well, I'm going to have to say it now. We didn't want a cock.
Is it me or is it getting hot in here?
When you say they are your favourite newsreaders,
Can I just say, of all the people we've had on the show, you're the most, it sounds like you're actually interrogating.
Well, how do you rate newsreaders? That's the thing I want to understand.
Well, if you've been in the newsreading game as I have, Henning, it's a bit like I'm sure when you watch stand-ups, you think, well, they're good, they're not so good, they're.
Oh, I hate a lot of them.
Right.
So why was that one Selena Scott and not that one?
Well, funny you should ask that. Selena Scott, particularly beautiful, with sort of blondish feathers.
So Jan Leeming, then, what were her markings?
Well,
the chicken, not
yes.
Jan Leeming.
Well, she's a rather dignified bird, and she's a very good layer.
Again, are we?
You asked for it.
What do you think, Lee? Is she telling the truth?
I'm not buying that. I don't think that's true. I think it's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
I think it may be true, but I'm going to go with Henning. I think he's got a very good beak for it.
We'll go with Henning's beak, and we'll say that that is a lie.
You're saying it's a lie. Kirsty, were you telling us the truth, or were you telling a lie?
It's true.
Right. I once undertook a self-help course entitled How to Become Taller.
Very hurtful, that laughter, I thought, Ronnie. Very hurtful.
Was it a step-by-step guide?
It was. No, it was a little routine I had to perform every morning against the wall, stretching up, and with a pin in the wall.
Oh, it was literally taller, not just to make you feel.
Oh no, to
confident.
really make me.
This is
taller.
going to make you taller.
I'm talking about the real business, making me taller, and saying every day, and in every way, I'm getting taller and taller.
Can I ask you a question? Did you keep the receipt?
Was this done once you were of maturity, or was it when you were an adolescent and still possibly might grow?
I was about sort of 14 or 15.
Oh,
yes,
right.
And it was bought by my aunt,
right,
who was perhaps more worried about my size than I was. Yeah. And so she subscribed to it.
How tall were you at 14?
A little bit taller than I am now, actually.
This is a great book you bought.
But surely at 15 you can still have a growth spurt. Like, Julian, you're pretty tall. Like, how old were you when you reached the height you are now?
Well, I shot up when I was 15.
What are you doing?
Slow.
Were you older than 15 when you were?
I was about 18, I suppose.
So to worry about your nephew not being tall at 14 or 15, that's quite premature to get concerned about someone's height.
But boys do usually shoot up at about 14 or 15, don't they?
I never shot up. My parents kept telling me about my cousin Gethin, who he shot up when he was 22, he got ages yet. And it was, I peaked at a very disappointing 5'7", which is...
I can't believe in front of Ronnie you're saying a very disappointing 5'7".
I was about to say.
His feelings!
I know. It's so upsetting. That's even more upsetting. When did you get out of short trousers into long trousers?
Oh, what time is it now? So what do you think? Is Ronnie telling the truth?
In the context of, what was that, the 40s, when you were a teenager?
The 1944, 42,
Yeah.
41, 42.
Sort of
I
thing
don't
people
think
might
people
have
have money
believed.
to spend on self-help books. During the war, they're not going to spend time worrying about how tall people are.
Well, you'd think that'd be the time
Exactly when you worry about, we need to be taller than the enemy.
Having said that, I would have been annoyed if they'd have made you grow an extra 6 inches, sent you in the war, got in the trench, and your head was sticking out. That would have been very annoying, wouldn't it?
Now, you've got to get a grip here, Lee, and make a decision.
I think we should go for... You're saying truth. Holly, how sure are you?
I'm definitely sure you're not... That's not true. I'm sure... I don't know.
You've answered the question, sweetheart. I'll go with Julian.
OK, you're saying it's true. So, Ronnie Corbett, is it the truth, or were you telling a lie?
It is the truth.
It's true. Ronnie did once undertake a self-help course entitled How to Become Taller. Of course, lacking height is no obstacle to success. I can think of loads of short people who've become household names. There's Ronnie, of course, and then there's Sleepy, Grumpy, Happy, Dozy, Sneezy, Ant and Deck.
I missed Kanye West's entire set at Glastonbury because I was trapped in my sleeping bag.
Please, team.
When you say trapped in your sleeping bag, I'm picturing a sleeping bag as something you can just sort of, if it doesn't unzip, you just crawl out the big end at the end, the head end. What's it called? The hole?
The orifice.
The orifice.
I just call it the orifice of rest.
Yeah.
It was one of these sleeping bags where you can zip up your whole...
Oh, your head was in it?
Yeah,
so you had
yeah.
just your little face showing?
Well, no.
That's a sort of CSI use that kind of sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Where does the zip go on the sleeping bag?
So it's like you zip up and then...
And all the way down?
Yeah, but then it comes to a point.
So you've gone in, you've zipped all the way down, up and down.
I'd basically got in, and at some point, I'd got, like, a piece of material caught in the zip.
Did
and
you
then
feel
the worst part about it was...
You were suffocating to death.
The worst part about it was that everyone went to Kanye, and so my screams were, you know, no one could hear me.
They thought you were just very enthusiastic about Kanye West.
Yeah, they were like, I was like, no, please. They're like, yeah.
Were you sharing this tent with someone?
Yeah. It was like a big teepee.
How many of you were in the big teepee?
7.
7.
Odd number.
Did you not think to just sort of crawl out to the sort of...
Oh, actually wiggle out?
Yeah. Why don't you crawl...
Kanye, like a caterpillar.
Why don't you crawl to the front flap and ask for help?
I didn't think of that.
You didn't think? How long were you in there for?
I don't know, it was quite comfortable, ultimately.
So, is the real truth of this story is that you woke up and thought, I can't be bothered, and went back to sleep again?
So what do you think, Lee? Is he telling the truth?
I find it hard to believe that there is a sleeping bag that exists that zips up all the way around.
It's a weird way to zip.
All the way around?
Yeah. Lee, you're sitting there and saying you don't think it's possible to get a sleeping bag with a zip that goes all the way around.
No, you're missing the point.
By this.
Why can you not get a sleeping bag that zips all the way up the side, goes over the head, and then just stops about here? What's the benefit of it going all the way down to the bottom?
Warmth.
Are you absolutely insane? How does that make it warmer that it goes all...
Because heat stays in.
No, but it stays in my version because there's no gap at the side. The zip goes up the side. It goes at the top. You open it like a book, but the bit in the middle is joined together. You get in like a little sandwich maker. It closes up again. You pop your head out the faceless coffin, and then you zip it from the inside like that.
This
You
is
don't
a
need to go...
pointless conversation.
Is everyone following my version?
Imagine you're in a...
No, we've got to move on now, Rob.
Imagine you're in
Are we saying it's the truth or a lie?
I'm saying it's a lie.
We're saying it's the truth.
I think it's true.
We're saying it's true.
Right, you're in a tent, right?
Truth. Is it truth or a lie?
Don't you do anything without I am in charge of this.
Press the button,
You do it, that's it, you don't win anything.
Jordan. Don't listen to him. Press the button. Is it truth or a lie?
Don't you dare. Lee, zip it.
All the way round or just halfway?
What are you saying, Lee?
It is...
Not yet.
No, he
wait.
won't. He'll go berserk.
I'm kidding.
His only role is to say when to press the button.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
I think it's true.
You think it's true?
I think it's true.
Then we go true.
You're going to say true. Jordan, was it the truth or was it a lie?
You can press it now.
No. You don't tell him when to press it.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
No, that's not how it works.
Rob, I wasn't telling him. It's
Right.
fine.
You wait. I'm going back. I'm going to tell you again.
Oh, it's a lie, sorry.
I was once commissioned to paint a portrait of Giles Brandreth's cat.
OK. Would you point out to some of the younger viewers who Giles Brandreth is?
Giles Brandreth presents Strands of the One Show, and he was an MP, and he wears jumpers.
Here's a picture of him, OK?
How did he hear about you?
I did a lot of art around the area, not like graffiti, but...
What is this area?
Barnes.
OK.
And I've always been an artist.
What was the cat called?
That, I can't remember the name of the cat. It was a black cat.
Right.
Lucky.
Lucky.
How much do you get paid?
£130.
£130?
And also, I'm allergic to cats, so...
Did the cat pose for you, or did you have a
I had to do sittings with the cat.
Shut up!
I
Come
did.
on now.
I did.
You
Sat on
do
a
not
chair.
paint a cat and go, cat, sit on that for 3 hours. The cat moves about.
Yeah, no, and it kept moving around. It was the most annoying cat ever. It was like, please,
It's a cat.
sit down.
I don't sit on the stool.
come on,
What
you
is
can do-
painting a picture of it?
You can do it.
I'll be fine for 3 hours, Kate, me.
It wouldn't.
It's a cat.
You can totally do a sitting with a cat. Cats are very sedentary. Yeah. They stay in one place all the time. You can't command the cat, but you say, oh, here's a good moment. The cat seems to be sitting.
Oh,
I don't want
you
it.
were painting
Jack,
a cat.
what
You took a
position was the cat
picture.
in the painting?
Like, sort of that.
No, come on.
It wasn't a nod. It was like sort of sat like
What
that.
was that about?
That's how cats sit, like that.
What, was their hands on their knees?
Like, it was a normal thing like that. You go, oh, Jack's doing a cat impression. That's a cat.
So the cat is sitting or standing? I'm trying...
Sitting? Well, oh, do you want me to do it like that? Yeah, like that. What's it like?
But anybody with half a brain would have taken a picture of the thing, gone home and painted it at home, wouldn't
I love this man.
No. I would have done that, but I didn't have that choice. She insisted that I come so that I could sort of get to know the cat.
I know Giles Brandreth.
Do you know his cat?
I know his wife. What's his wife's name?
She's called Michelle.
Is his wife
Is that
Michelle?
true?
You were bluffing, weren't you?
It is.
Do you know Giles Brandreth's wife? So you were quite a good artist, were you? Reasonably good if he's paid £130?
Yeah, I
OK,
was-
Just, no, that's fine. Stay there. Draw me a cat.
Right.
I should at this point tell viewers at home that whilst we do like to receive your paintings, we can't return any of them.
The suspense is... David is captivated.
Actually rather good.
David's face is going, this is pretty
This is
good.
I like to do it quite quickly, obviously.
That's fine, we're not
For
going to
David, this is an extreme sport, isn't it?
If people have just turned over, they're going to be thinking, what on earth is David looking at? OK, Jack, reveal the cat.
So, Lee, it's time to make up your mind. What do you think about Jack's story? Is he telling the truth, or is he in fact telling us a lie?
I'm right down the middle. Because Giles, does he know you at this point? No.
He knew me through the family, through mother, and then my mum. He knew me through mother.
It's 100% true.
Oh,
Honestly.
well, you two fight it out between yourselves. I'm
No,
not
it's
getting involved.
definitely true.
I'll go with you because I like him.
Oh, touch me.
OK, they're both saying true, and I don't want to argue with the team, so I suppose
OK,
I'm
you're
going to go
saying
with
it's true. Jack, true or lie?
It is true.
Well done, team.
Yes, it's true. And this is the most exciting part of all. We've got the painting here. Now, this has been lent to us by the Brandreths, Giles and Michelle, and this is a bit special. Get ready.
I'm not being cruel, right? But that looks a bit like a dog to me.
That is the most canine cat I've ever seen.
Look at that.
I once wet myself whilst babysitting a toddler.
Please, team.
When was this?
I reckon I was about 12 or 13.
It's quite young to be babysitting.
Not in the north. A lot of people are parents by that.
I was going to say.
So whose baby was this then? Was it a neighbour's?
It was no, it was like a niece. I think.
Like a niece?
No, it was.
Was it a nephew?
No, it was a niece. No, a cousin. Well, it's hard to... It's a niece.
Why didn't you go to the toilet?
Because I heard like a voice upstairs.
Like a voice?
Like a voice, yeah.
Like a niece's voice?
Yeah, no. It was like a voice of a man, like of someone who shouldn't have been up there. Like it's like a voice that I didn't know. Yeah. And I just got scared. I thought it was a ghost.
So you heard this voice and you went to investigate.
It was on the baby monitor. So
what did the voice say?
It said,
Where's yourself?
Go ahead.
It wasn't an instruction. It was just like a voice.
I'm in the toilet, it's occupied. So what did the voice say?
Well, I can't remember the exact words, but...
Well, you always forget what a ghost says.
Did he speak in English?
Yeah, it was English.
What kind of accent?
Like a northern accent. He wasn't going... Oh... He wasn't doing like a typical ghostly noise. It was just going...
Hey up!
And then did you go upstairs?
I went up and there was nothing there.
And did you ever get to the bottom of what this voice was?
Yeah, I think what had happened was the baby monitor had tuned into one of the neighbours' baby monitors. And I was just listening to someone 3 doors down.
When you realised that you'd had an accident because you were frightened.
Yeah.
Did you then make any attempt to sort of get changed or to dry
No, I still... Can I say, Sarah, it's a lovely line of inquiry, but can I just go a step further and ask the extent of the spillage? Because... Well, no. There's the full-on... There's the deluge. Then there's something that some of the more middle-aged men on the panel might be aware of, which is the sitting and... Oh, not again.
Rob, can I just say you're saying this out loud?
Was it age-related seepage, or did the levee break?
Are you hoping to become... Because there are many products for gentlemen of that age with that problem. Are you hoping to become the face of them?
Only if you're wearing a bridesmaid will you have real peace of mind.
Rhymes with Dryden.
Yeah, Dryden.
Stay Dryden in a Bryden.
There you go.
Dryden? Dried on.
Yeah.
With a Bryden. You'll be dried on.
It has, it's dried on.
It's dried on.
So you go up, you get to the niece's bedroom, you check on her.
Yeah.
When does the penny drop?
I went up, grabbed the child who was asleep in her cot.
Yeah.
I went out the front door and my...
You actually ran out there?
Yeah, I did.
Screaming what?
I didn't scream, Lee.
Well, you wet yourself?
Well...
Don't try and keep dignity with this story. I didn't scream, I just wet my pants.
So my auntie and uncle live round the corner, so I just went round there.
And what did you say to them?
There's a ghost in the house, so I've got the baby.
And what did they say?
Have you wet your pants?
So what's your team thinking? Harry, does this strike you as the truth?
I'm still back at like a niece, like a nephew.
Yeah. It was unsettling, wasn't it?
A bit that got me off my feed right there.
So Harry thinks it's a lie, and Sarah says it's...
I kind of think it might be true.
Oh, split decisions,
dear.
I hate them. Who can persuade her the most?
I think Smithers could. Can we make him do a voice,
Oh, God.
please?
That's early.
Yeah.
Round one, person one. I thought at least have the dignity to wait till the second half. Is it truth or a lie? Never mind that, do Smithers.
I swear,
OK,
okay.
we'll go with Harry and say it's a lie.
Say it's a lie. OK. Jason, truth or lie?
It is true.
Go.
I always make toast by ironing the bread. It tastes much better that way.
Lee, what do you think?
Do you apply butter pre-ironing?
No.
What, that would be mental.
No, that would be crazy. Because then you are in danger, of course, of cooking the butter. You get a beurre noisette on top of your toast, which wouldn't do you any good at all.
He's good.
Is this the same iron that you use for the clothes, then, straight after?
You can use any hot, flat metal implement to iron the bread. You don't have to use an electric iron.
I quite often put a shirt in a toaster.
What other hot, flat metal implements do you have?
Well, you can get a spatula and heat it.
A spatula? That must take a long time to do toast.
Not a plastic one.
Oh, I know the basics,
You can get a fish slice.
What? Is this the kind of advice you give out on
Because
MasterChef.
you're- what-
Never, ever eat up a plastic spatula. What's the bread on?
It doesn't matter what the bread's on.
Oh.
Normally a work surface.
So when you put the iron on, you're going to squash it a little bit, surely.
To flatten it a little bit and squash it a little bit is the point.
Bread
Without
is
getting your
flat.
sweaty palm on it.
Bread is flat,
yes,
isn't it?
Well, of course, it's not rolling hillocks. I know this. But it's also bouncy.
Bread isn't necessarily flat. If you slice it flat, it's flat. A loaf of bread isn't flat.
What are you doing, topiary?
A loaf of bread, you say... No, but I mean, you can't say bread is
I'm making
flat.
it into a budgie.
Paper is flat. Bread isn't necessarily
Can I
flat.
ask-
Bread's only flat if you cut it into a flat shape and then iron it, like anyone sensible.
If I was going to pick you up on anything tonight, Lee, and I like to think that I will, it would be how you pronounce the word topiary.
Topiary.
Did anybody notice he went topiary? It was like a wonderful mixture of trimming a hedge and a little bowl you have of things that smell nice in the house.
I say topiary. What do you say?
Well, it's topiary. It's not topiary.
So hang on. Whoa, just to backtrack. There's a man ironing his bread, and I'm being picked up because I'm saying topiary a bit like potpourri. Where the hell's David gone? Oh. I thought he was so middle class that I pronounced it wrong and he fainted.
I'll tell you what, I knocked a water bottle onto what I can only describe as a nest of wires.
And also, he was a little bored.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you were just trying to teach Lee how to speak. I mean, we could be here all night.
If you iron bread, would it ever properly toast? Wouldn't it just get very soggy and hot?
You could put butter in the steaming bit.
You could have a butter one and a jam one.
Oh, no, but if you put the jam in, then you're going to have the problem you have with a Pop-Tart, which is when you get a Pop-Tart comes out and you forget to let it cool down. A Pop-Tart is something that working class people have for breakfast, just before it's mentioned by anybody.
I'm about as working class as it gets. I don't know what a Pop-Tart is.
You iron bread.
I don't always use an iron.
What do you sometimes use?
I just told you.
A hot metal implement, like a spatula.
Yeah, or a fish slice.
How are you heating up the fish slice?
You could just put that on a naked flame.
It's just occurred to me that it's a bit like toasting on the Arga, isn't it? Because it's a hot surface. Similar. Mind you,
that is posh.
Arga, that's a posh thing. I suddenly realised. Have you seen an Arga?
Yes, I have seen an Arga. I'll have you know I've broken into some very nice homes.
What are you going to say, Lee? Truth or lie?
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
To toast bread with a fish slice, you'd have to get it up to such a temperature, it'd be like molten lava.
I hate to bring everyone, but the allegation is an iron.
No. He said that he also does it with fish
That's
slice.
just chat you're having on your own time. The allegation is the iron.
Who are you, his lawyer?
No. I mean, for the purposes of this, yes.
Come on, let's make a decision
Right, go
here.
on. What do you think?
I simply don't buy it because of the fish slice issue.
Nina?
I just can't imagine that he'd waste like 20 minutes ironing a piece of bread in the mornings.
I don't think he
Well,
How big is your bread?
You gonna lie? OK.
Yeah.
We'll say lie.
Saying it's a lie. OK, Greg Wallace, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It's a lie.
Ah, it's a lie.
I did very well.
Yeah, Greg doesn't make toast by ironing bread.
I thought that was... I made a mental note to try that.
On the first day of my holiday, I lost my glasses, so I was forced to read an entire book through a set of binoculars I found in the villa.
I've been here all day and I haven't seen you wear glasses.
Well, that's because I wear contact lenses.
Why didn't you wear contact lenses?
Because I didn't take them on that particular holiday.
What was the book?
The book? Wow. The Kipper.
By?
Brian Fish.
A book called The Kipper by Brian Fish. I haven't read it or heard of it. What's the genre of this book?
It's a thriller.
Right.
The Kipper was the code name for a spy.
Where were you on holiday?
I was actually in Malaysia.
What part of Malaysia?
Coconut Island.
What?
What make were binoculars?
I think you'll find I didn't have my glasses. How do I know that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I tried to look through my binoculars to find out, and I even looked into the mirror, but it just wasn't working out, the whole thing. I was like... Because the book had to be a long way away from me.
Sorry, it had to be a long way away from
Well,
you.
otherwise, it's so close to you. When you get to the thrilling bit, it's too scary. They got killed! So I have to.
How did you set it up?
The book was at the other end of we had a little pool in the villa, and it's on the other end of the pool, and I would sit there like that. And then...
How would you turn the pages?
I'd put it down there, and then I'd get up and I'd walk, turn the page, crease it, and back round again.
So, you got there and you'd forgotten your glasses.
Correct.
How did you manage to get there without realising?
Because I forgot them. I left them somewhere en route.
Right. But where?
I put them down like this in the taxi. I stepped out for a second. I was literally rubbing my eyes like that. The taxi's gone. I know. Unbelievable. It's the exact word I was thinking of.
You hadn't arrived at your destination.
I took the glasses off for a second, like that.
To put them down in the taxi.
But there's a reason I put them down for a second.
Yeah.
Put them down. They're my proper glasses.
Yeah.
To put on my sunglasses when I get out of the car. The sunglasses are prescription.
Yeah.
I step out the car.
Yeah.
He drives off. I've left the glasses in the back. I can now see perfectly clearly through the sunglasses. I know what you're going to ask me, so I'll just get to that point. During the holiday, I then lost the sunglasses.
Another taxi?
No, I was in the sea.
You were in the sea and you put them on a dolphin?
I was in the sea. Well, I didn't know it was a dolphin. I thought it was one of those glasses rests. You know, no, I just put them down. Oh, I didn't put them down. I put them on. And then I went into the sea, had a little swim, and then a big wave came like that and went... like that. That's not the bit that knocked my glasses off, though. I just up and went, wow, look at that wave. And then I lost it. Yeah. I'm going to have to spend the next... whatever it was, 2 weeks without my sunglasses. So I just stayed...
Reading a book from one end of a pool to another.
This is it.
With your
How big a book?
It was awful. Everything was like that. Even the foreplay. I said, go over there so I can have a good look. That's very pleasant, thank you. And then I'd walk over. And she'd say, do I look sexy in this? I'd go, hang on.
So, what are you thinking?
Look, I wear glasses. You are so protective of your glasses.
There are various implausible moments in this story. I would say the losing of sunglasses in the sea is not the most implausible. I would say it is the image of Lee sitting at one end of a swimming pool with his binoculars and a book propped up at the other end of the swimming pool. A swimming pool he has to walk round in order to turn the page.
So, you're saying it's a lie?
Well, I would say it was a lie.
I think we're unanimous on that.
All right. So, Lee, truth or lie?
It is, in fact... Where's the button? Tell me when I'm close. Lie!
I can tell if someone is a good dancer just by the way they smile.
David's team. Alex, look at me.
Turn your head a little bit. And now this way.
Now do it while she's dancing.
No.
Yeah, well, that's true then.
Why? But why?
What is
From
it
that
about,
smile?
though?
Yeah.
Because people who are good at dancing...
Please stop doing that. I find it a bit disturbing, David. It's just a bit light entertainment for you, David.
Really? What is it? Yeah, what it's about? What do you look for?
Well, people who are good at dancing will look naturally smug.
What are you saying?
Now, you're putting on a smug face.
No, he's not.
And people who are good at dancing have shorter teeth than you. It's just something about dancers. They seem to be a little bit underdeveloped in the tough area.
Are they making up for their short teeth by
Could
learning
be.
to dance?
I don't know, but it seems to be a pattern. That's what I found doing extensive research. So I'll go round you all now. Open up. You could be all right.
Oh, that's a backhanded compliment. Snug, short-toothed person.
Not mine.
Go on. Rob?
Rob, he's got quite long teeth.
No. The thing is,
Rob,
look.
you get up there and prove her wrong.
I just want to say, Rob, I've got a lot of respect for your commitment to the show.
I mean, I'm no Bruno or Len.
I'm no Bruno or Len. Hasn't she got a
Hang on,
stupid
you're
voice?
now taking them. What is... Does anyone know how large Fred Astaire's teeth are?
Small.
Small.
Didn't have any,
Small.
just gums.
He had little, tiny little...
Like that, no.
Tiny.
Just tiny.
Putting
Almost
on a
like-
top hat, dusting up a white tie, I'm in my head. So what are you going to say, David?
Mel, do you think it's true?
I think it's the sort of claim that Ms Jones would make.
It's not scientifically proven.
Oh, you don't say.
Yes.
I think it is the sort of thing she
She's claimed it. She's not saying it is.
No.
Yeah. Do you think it's the truth?
The truth.
The truth. I think we think it's true.
You think it's true?
Yes.
Alex Jones, was it the truth, or were you telling a lie?
Don't be so ridiculous. It's a lie!
Yes, it was a lie. Alex can't tell if someone is a good dancer by the way they smile.
As a child, rather than sleeping with a comfort blanket or teddy bear, I slept with a potato.
Lee Mack, what do you think?
Was it the same potato, or did you have different potatoes over the years?
Well, that was the problem, because you get attached to a potato. So, when you get attached to a potato, it's rotting a bit, but your comfort, it's like your teddy bear's it smells of your old teddy bear, or whatever it happens to be. The potato is my favourite potato, and I used to draw on it.
So it was one potato the whole time?
The actual truth is, it was taken away from me, and I cried and I cried and I cried, but they threw it out. So it took me like another 3 or 4 weeks to get used to the new potato.
Dale, did they have names, your potatoes?
No.
You slept with a potato that you didn't even know its name?
Well...
Yes, slag!
Did you hug them? Did you have them close to your face?
I used to put it on the pillow like that, and I used to bash it.
Bash it? Why did you bash it? Is that how you show love, Dale?
What's the bashing?
Well, I used to like the dent it made in the pillow.
Oh, so you'd bash it onto the pillow and then you'd
And then I
sleep...
would take it out, so that's where you're going to bed later.
Be honest, Dale. Is the truth of this story that your parents would shout through the door, "What are you doing in there?" And you'd say, "Nothing, just bashing the potato"?
You haven't asked me why I stopped, and this is why you'll realise...
Oh, Dale, why did you stop?
Because Mrs. Marks, who was our next-door neighbour, I heard her talking to my mother in the driveway, and I heard Mrs. Marks say to my mother, "Is he still sleeping with a potato?" I think that they've been talking about it, and she probably said to Mrs. Marks, "Did any of your children ever want to sleep with a potato?"
So what are you thinking, Lee?
Miranda.
I sort of want it to be true, because he's so sweet.
Yeah.
I do think the two winning things are that that's where you're going to sleep,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Marks.
What do you know what?
Is he still
That's the
sleeping
thing.
with...
I think Mrs. Marks exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Mrs. Marks. I like what she represents. She represents the sanity of the street.
And the beauty
Whereas
is...
the Wintons, they're all over the shop.
So what are you going to say, Lee? What's it going to be?
What do you think? Do you think it's true?
I do think it's
I
true.
think it's true.
All right, I'll go with my team and say that it's true.
You're saying it's true. OK. Dale Winton, the potato in the bed. Was it the truth, or was it a lie?
I have slept with many things over the years, because I'm a very old man, but I have never slept with a potato. It's a lie!
A little chimpanzee once came to my house for tea.
David's team, what do you think?
A little chimpanzee.
How little? A tiny chimp, about this high.
And did it come alone?
It preceded an expected guest.
Was that gorilla?
What did it eat?
Well, we tried Marmite because it was a Sunday afternoon and we were having tea and Marmite toast, and that's what my kids liked. But it turned its nose up at that, so we gave it cheese and tomato sandwiches, and she opened them up and took the inside and seemed to be quite happy with that.
Probably on a no-carbs diet.
What's a chimpanzee doing, coming round
Good question.
to your house for tea?
She was with the friend who was expected, and the friend who was expected was running late, and she sent the chimpanzee on ahead.
So did the chimpanzee ring the doorbell or knock on the door? Or...
Knocked on the door.
And you answer the door, and there is...
I went to the door, and my wife said, "Who's that?" And I said, "It's a chimpanzee." She said, "What does it want?" And the chimpanzee was doing this. And I said, "I think it wants tea." She said, "Well, ask it in."
How did the chimpanzee get to your house?
I ordered a taxi.
I'm not a courageous man. If I was answering the door and I saw a chimpanzee, I wouldn't invite it in for tea. I'd be afraid. I'm not keen on wasps.
Really?
And they're much, much smaller than chimpanzees.
Who was the friend? Was it Michael Jackson? I mean, who were you receiving?
It was a lady that I had worked with quite some time before this afternoon.
Why did she have a monkey?
Because she had very few friends.
All right, David, what are you thinking? This sounds
I think it's
peculiar.
true. At the moment, I think it's true. What do you think?
I don't know. I want to know why she would send it first.
A sense of fun, surely. As a bit of a joke, go up there, knock on his door, it'll be amusing.
What do you think?
What I think Charles Dance, a chimp in a cheese sandwich. It's true.
Which way are you going to...
I think we're going to go true, though.
You're going to say true, yeah? OK. Charles Dance, your chimp story. Were you telling the truth, or were you telling a lie?
I'm sorry to say that it's true.
As a child, because I was so shy, I named all the toes on my left foot and formed a gang with them.
Least.
OK. Well, would you like to tell us the names of the gang, starting with the big toe and going down the row?
Big toe was Daddy Bruiser.
Daddy Bruiser?
Yeah. The one next to it was Long Pete. Because that toe's unusually long on me.
Just before you say any more, just remember, there will be a recap.
Right, yeah, sure.
Keep these names short and rhyming.
OK. And then there was Lindsay.
Lindsay?
The one in the middle.
You've taken my advice, then.
And then my ring toe I named after my Auntie Barbara.
What was that one called?
That was called Auntie Barbara.
Oh, not just Barbara. Auntie Barbara.
Auntie Barbara.
Auntie Barbara.
Yeah. And the one at the end was called Crushed Daisy, because I used to have a lot of accidents and I used to sort of wang my foot into, you know, like skirting boards or whatever it would be.
Why Auntie Barbara rather than any other auntie?
She's my only auntie.
That's absolutely watertight.
Yeah.
Is she? That's an unusual thing to say about someone's auntie. Your auntie looks very watertight.
So would you talk to your toes?
I would talk to them at night. It was night time when I'd get particularly nervous.
Let's go back to young Mike in his bedroom, alone at night, with his gang. Just recreate for us a little interaction with the toe gang.
It's not going to be untoward, is it? Your parents aren't at the door hearing you say, "Come on, let me give you a little stroke, Auntie Barbara."
At the end of the bed is a wardrobe where the wood carving is quite sort of ghoulish, quite sort of Munch and Scream thing, which I think was part of the problem. And I'd say, I'd tuck the toes in. Don't look at that guy. He can't hurt you. He's made of wood. And then we'd get under the duvet with a little torch, and I'd light them up. one by one. Would occasionally sort of draw little hats on them and faces and stuff.
Did you not think to ask your parents to just move the cupboard that was scaring you?
I did repeatedly.
And they just didn't?
They refused.
Because they what?
They refused to toe the line. Round of applause.
What I want to know is whether some people groaned and clapped. If so, what was going through their mind?
All right, Leisha, what are you thinking?
I don't think it's the truth. Because I feel like, why would you only focus on one foot if you've got another 5 on this side?
Alan, what do you think?
It is so bizarre, it has to be true. I mean,
it?
I feel terribly sorry for you, really. I think it's...
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say it's a lie.
It's a lie. OK. Mike, truth or lie?
I was, in fact, telling a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Mike did not name his toes.